I'll be driving like this.
That'll keep you from throwing up for sure.
That is something that was just brought to my attention now, so I.
Hello.
That's one of the vendors who is proposing for sidewalk repair. Ish. Ish. I mean, what's reasonable with that?
All right. Can someone on Zoom give us a sound check?
We can hear you now.
Yes.
All right. Apologize for the late start. We had some delays in getting our speakers and all that set up, but I would like to call this meeting to order of the Harmony CDD. And we'll start as soon as I can pull up my agenda with roll call. Okay, yes, we're through the speakers. We're just, please bear with us as we get all of our issues settled here. It is 6:05 p.m. Sorry for the late start, everybody. We've had our budget workshop and I will start with calling to order. So roll call, Supervisor Lee is here, Supervisor Lucas
Here.
Supervisor Julie, Supervisor Brittany, Supervisor Joe might be joining us on Zoom, but is not present, but we do have a quorum. First, we have an adoption of the agenda. It was emailed to board members and will eventually go onto the website. I'll move to accept. Brittany is seconded, so all in favor? Aye. All right, next we have audience comments. We ask for a 3-minute time limit. This is your chance to speak to the board on any issues on the agenda or of interest to the board. We'll address the issues as we can, but again, it's not a back and forth conversation, so I'll open the floor to comments. Yep, please come up. We have a microphone here. You can pull up a chair and please state your name and address for the record. Yes.
I gotta get close and personal, huh? Debbie Fuentes, 7450 Oak Mark Road, Harmony, South Lakes. Missed the meeting last month. Heard there was some good stuff going on in terms of the North Lake Roundabout up in east of 5 Oaks. And I did have a question because although I wasn't here, I was looking for information on it on the website and there was none. So I'm wondering, am I looking in the wrong place or is there a place where you put the minutes for whatever was discussed at the previous meeting? Because I guess I'm concerned about people who don't come. You can see the agenda, but what happened at the agenda? What was resolved? What wasn't resolved? What was decided upon? What wasn't? That was my question. And a good comment is that I'm still really happy to see how everything is looking really nice in the community. All the beds look, the streets look great, the park looks great. Everything looks great.
Thank you.
That's it, Debbie. You know what?
Thank you, Debbie. All right, any other audience comments? Yep, you have a couple, some behind you, Joe. Some, oh, hold on, Joe, someone else is behind you. Yep. All right.
All right, I'll just to talk, Joe Genesek, 7159 Oak Glen Trail, Harmony, Florida. Just a comment on the bonds. I sent out an email to all you guys, and I know you received it. A couple did respond, either thank you or whatever to me, so appreciate that. Again, just expressing my support to refinance, if we could get that money back to reduce the total bond amount, which we reduced. I know there's some other possibilities to use for that money. Otherwise, I'm afraid that there may be hidden costs that we're not seeing that would actually cost the CDD money. And I did have 7 questions that I provided that I would ask, whatever, our FMS before making a decision on the bond. Hopefully we've gone back or can go back and ask them those questions to get full knowledge and ability of what it all means. Some of them may just fall away. Hopefully they all do. So just on that, that was all I wanted to say. And this is from previous meeting, there was some talk about insurance and stuff and events and stuff like that. And just for the record, if you are holding an event and somebody else is also there, or somebody else wants to hold an event on CDD property, they should have coverage for that event. They should be naming the CDD as an additional insured on their policy for that event. It's very easy, just asking for a certificate of insurance, which shows all the insurance coverages and the limits that you would get by being covered by that and getting additional insurance. It costs them nothing to get this. I've did this in part of my career, for the Walt Disney Company, but not here in Florida, where you get that. A good insurance company can get it to you in 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes days, so just be careful when you're having these types of events. And if you talk to the HOA manager of the HOA, not the president, but the managing company, they'll tell you that, event insurance is expensive. In some cases, especially when it's open to the public. That was really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right. Additional audience comments?
Hello, my name is Steve Rafferty, 3313 Sagebrush. I have two things. One, again, is the speed bumps. Behind somebody today doing 36, went flying by the sign, didn't even care, just kept going. So I really think we need to look at some other alternative to slow those people down. And the second one is I was wondering if we could do some aerations in our ponds like I see in some other subdivisions to see if that's something that can help the mold that's growing around by my house in front and the water. Just think it would help the pond stay cleaner. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Good evening, board. Carol Castle, 3323 Schoolhouse Road. I have two requests. The first one is for the board to talk with our landscaping company because our annuals that we pay a lot of money for have not been looking good. Harmony West, they're looking great.
Sorry, Carol, they're requesting that you speak up a little.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. Oh, that sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
I was requesting that the CDD speak with our landscaping company. It's the same company that does Harmony West annuals. Harmony West annuals always look fantastic. Our annuals have not been looking good for the last couple of change outs. So I'm making the request that you talk to them about that. And then I'd also like to make a request, and Dan, I apologize if I'm sort of going above you, but there's a trail that leads from behind the pond on Dark Sky to Buck Lake. It's called Tangerine Trail. It's an old trail that's been here for a while. It's gotten overgrown. It's on CDD property. I would like the CDD to look into just having that, having it maintained, having it, I don't know, has it been?
Yes, the conversation that has already begun with the engineer to make sure we're in the clear for having landscaping
Okay,
do that maintenance.
that's it. Thank you.
Come on up. We're all friendly. Give your name and address for the record.
My name is, I have a loud voice. My name is Lanai Cacaveo. I live at 3440 Sagebrush Street in South Lakes. We often use the pool up here instead of our South Lakes pool. And it's wonderfully kept. So I want to make sure you know that it is wonderfully kept. But since the restaurant's been here, the parking lot for the pool, there's a sign that's about 5 by 7 that says it's only for the swim pool. I think it's being used by patrons of the restaurant, and I think that somehow we're going to need to start addressing that as it gets worse.
Yeah.
And that's all.
All right. Any other audience comments here in person or on Zoom? All right, hearing none. Go to the next item on our agenda is staff reports. We will start with landscaping. So Nick Masney, come on up.
Yeah. we'll try to get-
My name is Nick Lomasny with United Land Services. How are you guys?
Yep.
Yep. Louder.
So I just wanted to start off with the opportunities that were previously approved. The circle at the end is complete. The sod and seed in the parks on Feathergrass and Middlebrook are complete. The trees that were a hazard over on Sundrop and Golf Park are also removed. We did have an incident this week where the deer ate some of the vegetation off of our arborcola. We ordered some deer repellent that arrives on Tuesday, it's saying 2. At that point, I will go and apply it and we'll continue to monitor it from there. We are giving it daily water still. And probably another 2 weeks of that just because of how dry it is.
Okay. Is this the new roundabout?
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of how dry it is, our biggest worry right now is the same as last year. It's so dry, and when the wind hits it, it's rough. So we're staying off of the turf unless we absolutely need to get on it. We're mowing it at 4 inches, 4 1/4 in some areas. The Bahia ponds down there, we're still not really going on. If we do, we're just tracking up the weeds that randomly grow because we can't treat for those because they're so close to the water. We had a proposal for the flowers that we were gonna go over today. I'm certainly open to any patterns or recommendations that the board may have, and we can certainly provide that, providing here we have a little bit shade and different, pH balances, but I think based on what those flowers are, I think we can accommodate. There is several flags throughout the community this week and the remaining of next week. They are all just sprinkler repairs and we should be done next Thursday. I actually planned on having them done on Monday, but due to the roots, an average sprinkler typically will take 10 to 15 minutes. Out here, it's like 45 to an hour, depending. But having said that, we're still gonna be good to go by this time next week. Once the rain starts, we'll pick up the mowing, the details on schedule. Other than that, I have nothing to report. We did submit 2 proposals. One was for annuals and one was a ask due to a little bit of damage of some turf off Dark Sky, where we have a field. But it's on a slope. I turned it in. The square footage was provided to me. And that's all I have to report for this month.
Okay. Yeah, I believe we will be discussing that. Joseph, should we be discussing that sod issue now, or do we have it on the agenda for later on?
Since we're discussing again, also not sure.
Okay, sure.
Oh, I was gonna get to that. So we had an issue this month with leaf removal. Over here on.
Separate from this issue? Is this a separate issue from the,
Yes,
okay, should we discuss that first, Dan, or do you want to just let them finish and then?
Let's see if we have, I mean, on the agenda, we have first the damage sod proposal, then the annuals, and I would say after that, then we can discuss the pickup.
sounds good.
Right, okay, so.
My thing is this, the damage is a result of property enhancements? Why are we doing that?
Well, yeah, so
Would that be the
a little,
Well,
I don't know.
well, I can explain a little if it's okay.
and make sure your mic's on. Yep.
Is that better? Okay, so this was a homeowner on Dark Sky who submitted an application with the CDD to use the easement to get into their backyard for their pool builder to be able to build the pool. So in order to have the contractor come on, they had to have an agreement with the CDD and they paid a $2,500 deposit. So after the work was completed, the area is obviously visibly disturbed, and when the homeowner inquired, because they had been sent, from what I understand, they sent a couple emails and hadn't heard back. They reached out to me directly. I reached out to Joseph directly to find out what was going on. And then it was pointed out to me that obviously, given the way that it looks, that the homeowner wouldn't be eligible for their refund back, or at least, and then we got a quote from Nick, which was like this quote right here. So that would come out of the deposit, right?
Okay.
The issue that I have is that, the homeowner, I believe, did their due diligence. They went through the proper protocols, and then they had their contractor come back to level out this, the land and regrade it. And I know these pictures are from the 17th. I took some this morning where I can clearly see like grass coming back out, so I don't see the need to resod it. But additionally, there are 2 other homes on Dark Sky who have put requests into the CDD to do pools also. And not only have they not been required to pay a deposit at all, but there was obviously then no penalty. And one of them told me that it took about 8 months for the grass to fully grow back. So I think that my point is that we need to be fair and consistent. I wouldn't even feel comfortable charging the homeowner for this, considering it's not dead. Why would we pay to resod it right away? And again, we've not been consistent with that, and maybe that falls on us, right? That we've not been consistent with enforcing these rules or setting these expectations. And I would hate to make an example out of these folks. And I am totally for it. If the board wants to, moving forward, let the residents know, hey, in the past, we've not enforced this, but moving forward, we will be. And like I said, I hate to make example out of these folks, but I'll just close with my whole spiel there. I'll just close with, we approve money for all sorts of things, right? $7,000 for a tree, $8,000 for a shrub, whatever the case may be. In the grand scheme of things here, we're talking about $1,500. And I believe that if nothing else, as a measure of good faith to our residents that pay the CDD, I don't think we should keep their deposit. The grass is not dead, I don't think. And I'm not a professional.
Okay.
It's pretty dead to me.
Okay.
Well,
well,
these
let's-
pictures
all
are
right, well,
old. If you'd
let's-
like, I can show you some new ones.
Let's hear Nick.
So what we can do is I can go to that clock and I can add time to that particular zone and treat it as if it was new sod, water it, and then we can revisit it. It was an ask. The only part that concerns me, and if I haven't been there today, so I haven't seen those pictures. There's a drain about 15 to 20 feet north of it. If they got rid of the hump and they regraded it, and we apply water, and in 90 days, if it's fine, then dismiss the proposal. But we can try adding additional water to it, just targeting that area, not the whole field, because Toho, but
Right.
I can do just that zone. We do have that power.
So follow-up question. I mean, that's Bahia, right? Is that something that could be seeded, or that has to go down in sod pallets?
Right, yeah, you can do a seed. The only portion that I don't recommend would be the actual slope, because it'll run down on a hard rain. But we can evaluate it and just postpone it. I totally understand that. And then I would just send an email saying, hey, zone 14, we added 40 minutes per day for the next 2 weeks. And then I can turn in some photos and then we can go from there. It's a pretty tough turf. The roots dive 3 times deeper than St. Augustine. And it is the dry season. I say that to say I don't see a concern for washout until around June. But if June, it's not repaired and it didn't come back, we may have an issue on the slope portion. And that would be my take on that.
Okay, and if that were to happen, knowing that June is, when we'd have to be concerned about, the water, how far ahead of that would the sod need to go in to make sure that's not an issue?
So we can talk about this on the May CDD meeting, and being in such a small amount turf wise, it's something we can have a turnaround on pretty quickly. And I could notate this particular instance. I'm pretty good at keeping the records. And I can just kind of keep an open slot around that time and the chance that we need to have a team come in here and do it at that time if needed.
Okay. Question next for Joseph. So can you speak to the procedure on if someone is having work done like this, and what kind of records Infomark is or isn't keeping, and what might have happened there?
So there There was an agreement that was sent out to the resident, which they signed. The resident was supposed to notify us upon the completion of the work. That wasn't done, and that was supposed to be notified between myself, the district manager, and the field service manager. So within the bounds of the contract, it ends up being a sort of an issue in terms of returning the deposit, only because one, in the process of one of our field inspections, we did come across the vendor. The vendor did mention to all three of us, all three parties who are here, that they would resod the area. That was not the case. Now they're saying that they don't want to. According to the contract, if it is disturbed and not put back to its original state, the resident will lose, based off of the proposal brought by landscaping, they will lose a portion of their deposit, or if not, the whole deposit.
Do you know how long the contract says?
Yeah, so there, I believe it's 30 days. 30 days, right?
Well, how would you wouldn't resod within 30 days. How would you, that's not enough time to tell if it's still good or not.
Well,
It's my opinion. I mean, if you have enough money to put a pool in, and you've made the agreement that if you damage the area, putting a pool in, that it's your responsibility to fix it. And if you didn't fix it, then your deposit's gonna be taking money out of it. That's pretty straightforward to me. And I think Joseph just clarified that they didn't notify them after the 30 days when they were supposed to.
So you didn't get an email from them?
Not notifying me that the work has been completed. I did get an email from the resident asking for the deposit back.
Right, because the work was completed and they hadn't heard back.
Right, but that was after the fact, which would have been in line with the 30-day mark.
And I mean, if this happens with another resident, we're not just
I
gonna
did-
fork over $1,500.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. This has happened with other residents
But
and
there's different avenues of getting damaging sod. Like some people have, they put their pool in through their other house next to them. But they don't always go back through the CDD property, and that's their responsibility between their property line and their neighbor's property line.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if there's other damaged areas of the CDD that we see like this, then yes, we need to go address it. But I haven't seen anything to this magnitude in this whole agreement with the resident.
have you seen other properties that have gotten their pools done? Have you gone to inspect any others or seen the records of the before and after pictures?
I've had many people on my street get pools, but like I was saying, most of them happen. This is on Dark Sky where they have that big
Right, the easement.
right.
easement behind them. So that's the only way they could get in.
Yeah, it's an issue of convenience to the contractor, having more room to move in bigger equipment, and do the job
Right,
faster
for sure.
versus if, right, so.
If we're
Uh,
going by the contract, I think it's pretty cut and clear. My issue is, as the neighborhood CDD, we need to look at the bigger picture here, which is that on this very same block, 2 other homes have had pools installed. And there's been no consistency with the process. And that might be us doing, a little bit of mental gymnastics there to make it work for the resident. But at the end of the day, I don't see that as a bad thing. Maybe we are stretching here, going out on a limb here, but I think that's a measure of good faith. Our residents are the ones that pay into this. And since there's been no clear protocol, we don't even have, I had to go find this information myself, literally door to door, because we don't even have a central logging system for me to be able to find the other pools that were constructed and what the protocol was. So it's kind of just been like a free for all. I'm not saying this is this management's team fault because they just got in, but I think all those things considered, it's a judgment
All
call.
right, so the way I propose we address this, so when it comes to, clear cut, residents should not be destroying public property. They should, there should be accountability there. So when it comes to inconsistency that we think has been done in the past, if you can have those people you've talked to, I don't know what the right avenue, whether that's to Joseph or, but we should know how that happened to make sure it doesn't happen going forward. If they were granted an easement on the CDD property and didn't have a deposit, collected, or maybe there's some misunderstanding. Let's find out how that happened so it doesn't happen. When it comes to this issue, there's, whether it looks like this or it started to grow back, what we're hearing from Nick is it's not super urgent that it gets resodded at the risk of more damage occurring. So I think there's potential. My thought is we can maybe punt a month or so, but let's see if the good faith measure we can do as a CDD is not drop the hammer right now and collect, since it's not urgent. If there were an urgent issue and it were at risk of flooding by hurricane season, I would not be suggesting this.
But how do you tell that to the resident? You're saying, we're gonna hold your deposit
Right.
until this thing maybe works out or it doesn't, and then we're gonna take your deposit money. I say it was a clear contract, what they made. It's obviously damaged. Yes, it may come back, but we're protecting our property, Canadian land property, and I don't know, it's clear. If we keep kind of, we'll do this with each resident that gets a pool,
Well,
damages property.
That's
Oh,
not
Yeah,
wait 2
and
months,
right,
it's
and
gonna come back,
the conversation with Infomark is to make sure this isn't happening. We absolutely need to be
No,
consistent
and
with how
just
this
to-
is
Just to
done.
give some context, I did speak to Michael Eckert and I sent him the original document that was signed. He had mentioned moving forward, and this is a document that Infomark had put together, not Michael. So I just want to make that clear. He did mention that anything moving forward of this magnitude where a resident has to use an easement or a district or a CDD property to get a pool in, for example, that we will be using him and his law firm to draw up a contract and then go from there.
I don't know if that's necessary, because ultimately, if we decide if that's what we vote on, like, why would we spend the, attorney hours? So I
Well,
don't know. if
To
it
make
makes
sure
sense.
the district property
Yeah.
is protected, and that
Yeah,
we don't have
so it doesn't go
inconsistency
into a
with, we make sure, if we have a consistent contract, then we know that all the i's and t's are dotted and crossed. So when I mean,
But I
passes,
think that, I guess my point is, the consistency needs to come from Infomark.
yes, and I think we need to address that for sure.
Yeah.
And the show of good faith is on hearing that maybe it's not super urgent, it ultimately falls on the vendor. The vendor did the damage, and there is other recourse that the resident could have with the vendor, I mean, I'm not, there's other recourse that the resident could take with a vendor that doesn't involve public funds being used to clean up the mess that their vendor that they chose made. So I'm with Lucas there on, fundamentally, that's why we took a damage deposit, and that's what was, done to protect community property. So if we had to make a decision right now, that's what it would be. Hearing from Nick that we maybe could give it time to see if being Bahia, it does spread on its own fairly well. If that is enough for it to come back, or maybe we revisit in a month and it only needs 500 square feet instead of 870, that there's still a measure of grace being given
Yeah.
to the resident for his bad
That
situation.
makes sense. I think the resident will appreciate that too. I will say though, like, just, something that you just said, we do have to address. I don't understand, I think it would be good to have like maybe the standard protocols for something like this to be clearly established, because there's a lot of confusion. How long does the approval process take? Now that we're in limbo, sort of trying to figure it out, is there like an official notice to go out to the residents, that sort of thing? The communication piece is probably the most frustrating part, and I know I told you this the other day. If I ever sound like frustrated or flustered, it's because somebody's calling me frustrated or flustered, and I'm just trying to get them an answer. So it's nothing personal. I'm literally just working for the resident and relaying the sense of urgency that I got. But I did propose to Joseph also. I'm totally fine with waiting to see. I got the proposal in my email and I said, wait a second, but I've heard from 2 different people now that this grass is not dead. It's clearly growing back. So why would we charge them right now? But my initial proposal was if we could just wait another little bit to see if it does grow back. And then a part of the protocol component is what you just suggested, turning the sprinklers on. Maybe that's something that we could integrate into whatever the protocols are. I don't think that we have like standard operating procedures on a lot of things.
Which a legal contract would help bolster that. So, all right. So as far as what we do going forward, do we need to vote on that? I mean, Julie, do you have any thoughts on?
It's a contract that they signed and they paid $2,500, so the repair will come out of their deposit. They'll get any money back that they.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. If there's any money left from their deposit, they get the remaining balance. They have,
Yeah,
I mean, have we already waited the 30 days and,
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're well,
oh, I know, I'm really asking. I was just looking at.
we're well over the 30
We're
day
over
mark.
30 days, but to be clear,
Okay.
the
so-
regrading just happened maybe a week and 10 days ago.
So Nick, what, can you disagree or agree with me? When grass goes back to hay, it's never gonna be in the same condition that it was before.
Right.
Like you're gonna get creepers and runners that are gonna go and fill eventually, but it's gonna take probably 6 months before the entire thing's full with grass.
So,
If not longer.
so there's,
Right. The last resident said that it took 8 months.
right, so, but the problem is the location. It's at the bottom and the water stands there at all times. So
Yeah.
what we could be seeing could be weeds or Bahia does seed itself.
Yeah.
So there could be seeds already in the soil. I would have to evaluate it. I don't want to say one way or the other, but I know. And, let's say, just for the conversation's sake, if before the next meeting, I decide to drive over there and look at it. It's right by my house, and I see that I could take a picture and provide it, and then we can go from there, but. Bahia takes 30 days to germinate. If I were to go put brand new seed in there, the best seed available, which is Pensacola Bahia, it's got a 90% germination rate, and that takes 30 days with everyday water. The only part that I will say that I'm concerned about is that slope. You can't even see that grade and the drain. So when they say that it was graded, I gotta make sure, because when I was there was a hump there. Where that hump was on the other side of that drain. My problem is we already have an issue with it standing there where we can't maintain it, or those shrubs there for probably 2 months out of the year. We just don't have access. For treatment, we have to
Right.
get in there with
And-
water boots.
And so what that sounds like is with the grading that happened, there might potentially be more work that has to be done to correct drainage issues and that.
And that was included in that. So I mean,
Okay.
so let's say that they did go in there and they.
I was there today with Raul. There's a big portion of like the left-hand side where after the slope down of the easement that's being covered with what looks like weed. You made a mention of what the name is. Can you just say that again?
So the clovers?
Yeah.
So that's an aquatic weed
Yeah.
that comes from a sign of water. So again, like I said, that kind of backs
Yeah.
up what I was saying.
Right.
Where there's a lot of water, that weed will produce. That's not turf.
Right.
That will I could put Scott's weed and feed the purple bag and in 4 days it's gone.
Right.
So,
It sounds like, between the four of us, it sounds like we're in agreement that this needs to be remedied and it needs to come from the resident's deposit. What are our thoughts on doing it today versus giving it the one more month and seeing if maybe the square foot coverage has come down a little bit, maybe it costs a little less, but still is ultimately their responsibility. But what's the rest of the board thinking?
A clarifying question then. If we reevaluate in 1 month, are we looking for 1 month's progress to show that it is working, or are we
No,
looking for it to be completely?
The urgency is that once June hits, that area is going to get a lot of rain. And if it's not sodded and established, then there's going to be much more than 870 square feet of sod that we're going to have to
And Nick,
remedy.
correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not brought back and we don't sod, it's gonna be just straight mud.
so let's say we ignore it. Let's say we all just forget about it. Come June, July, we get a heavy rain. With that slope, it'll erode.
Yes.
Then you'll be buying soil by the yard. And then.
All right, let's just vote on.
That's
it.
a larger expense.
Yes.
So let's just vote on it.
Well, do we lose anything by waiting another month? I mean,
Right
just
now
like
it's
we said, like Dan said, this would be at least an act of good faith from the CDD to the resident. Where, it doesn't look good right now, but we can hold off another month and have a professional reevaluate.
I will say I don't see any flash flood in May. And typically Harmony, we struggle to get water in April and May. So I don't see like the urgency now, but I think 30 days is like the last bit.
And that's not getting too close into the growing season where there'd be an issue with getting the equipment, the sod to implement that work. Like,
Because of where it's at, I will wheelbarrow that in. I know that ground's soft. It'll break. If it's dry, it's just sand, so it'll flow right down.
I know, and not knowing the intricacies of sod production, there have been times in the past where there wasn't sod available for jobs that we want to do because of just construction or other issues. So if you don't see that being an issue, that would be the other.
So when I struggle to get sod is when the fields are flooded. So I can get sod right now.
And a month from now, we don't think
Yeah, I
that
can
would be
get
an
that.
issue.
Yeah, normally 4th of July is when it gets a little sketchy and I give a bigger window for a work date.
Okay, so I think my thoughts are with whatever your neighbors have said about there being issues with Infomark, let's dig in on that, make sure.
Like the addresses.
I mean,
or- And that would just be for us to establish like protocols, right? Not necessarily to make a difference on this.
well, yeah,
Okay, sounds
I
great.
mean, we have legal counsel for a reason. I think having a more properly constructed contract that can be used going forward to not have any kind of ambiguity like this would be a good thing. And Joseph's already said we're moving in that direction, right?
Yeah, so as I've said, I've spoken to Michael and he said that moving forward, any agreement between any resident and CDD will have to go through his office to get an agreement drawn up and then executed by the resident.
And that doesn't sound like something that would need to happen every time. It would be making
Case by
the,
case.
right, make the boilerplate and that's able to be used for the next resident that puts in a pool and needs access to CDD property. So it's not, we're not saying that the lawyer's going to be called every time, resident needs to do anything, but there's a stage in the process that could be refined.
And can I just ask for the board members who may have a historical context on this type of situation? Has anything of this magnitude ever been brought up or come through the CDD?
I don't know about landscaping. I do know in the past that resident using the boats, there's been damage that was done and deposits were kept in or partially kept in those instances. So it's not a novel thing for the CDD to be keeping a resident's deposit from some damage that occurred to public property. It's just a specific case of, okay, it's turf and it sounds like there's some window where there's not a major drawback to us giving another month to see if that, cost could be lessened by whatever natural growth happens and then come in, lay down whatever sod needs to be done to have it established before the rainy season. The rest of the board, I mean, there's 4 people on the board. So I move that we do that we revisit this in 1 month. And Nick, ask you to reevaluate as we come up to it. I mean, and
Yeah,
it'll
and
be
I'll
more.
take your
but-
word for it, right? Because you're the professional. If you think this is dead, this is nothing, I'm gonna believe exactly what you say.
So what I'll do is Monday, I'll go to the clock, I'll identify the station and I'll monitor it weekly. So let's say every Monday I go take a picture until I see you guys. I'll document the run times. I'll probably go with around 40 minutes. I'll only do that zone because Toho is known to restrict us. I've had it come under in the day and it just
Okay.
cuts out, but it's something I'll monitor. And I'll keep a slot
The resident
open.
will really appreciate that. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll keep a slot open in the event that you guys want to go ahead and make a repair.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. Do we need to have a motion and second and vote on that, or do we just?
We'll table it. Sorry, we'll table it until next month and revisit it with Nick's professional opinion.
That,
Say we come visit this in a month and he comes back and says, it's not here. Okay. He says, well, guess what? It's weeds. So now we have to really dig up the dirt and regrade it even more. And it's going to cost even more to replace it. I mean,
does that seem likely, Nick?
No, so
Okay.
if that whole dirt path that is provided in those pictures comes with weed, I'm gonna, because it's including with a grade.
okay,
So I'm not gonna change the price point. The only way that price point would change is if the grass grew in and we don't need as much. I don't have it in front of me, but
Right,
I wanna say
yeah.
it's 670 or 800.
870.
870, so
it's approximate. I get
Yeah.
that.
approximate, if anything, it'll go down. I don't, like I said, I don't see any
So are you
major.
saying this proposal is good for 30 days then?
Yeah,
Okay,
on the record,
All right.
in the
Thank you.
microphone.
All right, let's. move
Okay.
on.
okay.
Table. All right, thank you.
I just want to make sure, like,
Yeah, that's for.
why table it when we
It
could
could be
just vote
filled
it
with
and get it
weeds and
done?
this high, that price won't change. That's for the grading and
Right.
prepping.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so spring flowers annuals, you heard Carol's comment on just in general, there's maybe some improvement that could be done. What's where's the
So yes,
proposal?
I can
Yeah.
provide a selection. Do we want it identical to Harmony West? We put those in as well.
Right.
All right, so it's just that's full sun
It's located at?
right there. If you drive down there at the, they're in the middle on the bullnose and they are on the right-hand side. All right,
And I mean, imitation's the highest form of flattery. I guess the question would be, is short of doing the exact same, is there a selection that maybe it's like similar hardiness or similar color that, you know,
Yeah, I can get it similar. I can even consult with Ms. Carroll about the selection. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to that. If you guys approve that, she can help me with the selection. That's no problem at all. She's helped me in the past and it was wonderful.
uh,
She likes to do that stuff.
That would be great
is,
and very
do
much
you,
appreciated.
do you mind, Carol? I mean, but that would be, if you're willing to do that, that would be wonderful. You've obviously served very much in the past, so
Thank you, Carol.
yeah.
Thank you. So what I'll do is I will consult with her on the selection available.
Sure.
I'll-
But then this amount here, which we went over budget earlier and, you know, we had the annuals in there. So I'll move to approve the,
That's contracted price.
oh,
I
the
can't-
contracted price.
I can't, yeah, it'll never.
No motion. I retract my,
No. I mean, like, I can't change it. The only way that price would ever change is if we added soil.
right. But it doesn't need another act for this
I need
board.
the motion to.
It does,
to-
okay.
To approve the proposal, yes.
Okay, so I will move to approve that proposal. Contract 156886 in the amount of $3,500 for springtime annual flower rotation.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, now,
Thank you. We got 9 deer that love it too, so I will be. It's gonna be filled with blooms. It'll also attract butterflies. I'm really excited. Yeah, yeah.
It looks really.
I'm excited about it. We go. You see, me and my son, we go water those in the morning on the weekends. Yeah.
excellent.
so much.
Okay, next issue is the leaf blowing.
Yeah, we have an issue.
Yeah.
And this is also, thank you, to some of their staff, they've identified it. So some of the residents, and this ties into a long-standing issue that Harmony has, we all agree that the drainage is a massive problem here. We recall Hurricane Milton on Capriar, what happened? It was underwater for what, a week?
Yep.
I'm not gonna give addresses, that's immaterial. There's a combination of homes, and I believe there's a picture of one in the field inspection. Let's say 9 homes will put a pile, they put it at the drain. And we found this in 4 locations where it's out of sight, out of mind, but and it did rain and we lost a lot down there. So when I see them pumping the drains, I run around, I identify, hey, come here, because I know where they're at, but it's to the point where it's happening so much and so spread out, even I can't keep up or my staff to identify where these, I call them pressure points are. We will remove them, they've removed them. I mean, it's 2 companies trying to remove these leaves. On top of that, over here, there is the HOA, and I've spoke with the president. We went in, we cleaned it. As Carol has mentioned, there's a lot of leaf cleanup. So like over there, we did 17 trucks. We removed 17 trucks. 3 days later, whoever that contractor was, they literally took all of the leaves that were on the townhomes, blew them in the Verge and on Ashley Pool, resulting in 23 trucks to clean it up. That president HOA reached out to me. So sorry, won't happen again. And then I received a text message just last week. They did it again, which put us behind because then it was, I think, 11 trucks after. It wasn't as bad, but nonetheless, we had to pull them from a whole day's route, bring them in to do it again. Now the leaf falling is pretty much so done. But to Carol's point, we have several miles of area that we still have to do. That put us in total right around 16 days behind on my schedule. So just doing that, then we had them hauled off again and we don't even know what they did today. So I'm actually scared to go look. So between that and then the homeowners, it's becoming a real issue, especially in the rainy season. We may not see it now because we're not really using the drains. But between the filters and what comes in the pond, it's gonna back up. And my concern is 6 months to 7 months when we have a hurricane, and it's possible that we're gonna have severe flooding. Even if they're running around getting the piles and we're running around getting the piles, if you go down, internally outside of the main roads and we're seeing that, it'll back up somewhere else, unrelated. So I recommend that, I don't know if you guys have the power, can we get in touch with someone to clean all of our drains? I would say 1 month from now, That way, we know that when the storm season comes, they're clean, because if not, by Buck Lake, we're gonna have a severe problem this year.
Well,
On Schoolhouse Road, on Caprior, and the internal roads over there.
I know
Okay,
That one on the left-hand side is always flooding. Right, but so, yeah, if you're going there right now, that's where I send them all the time. So I have a notation, I have a log of where the problem areas are. But this year, and this is our third year, my log has tripled. So it's not improving. So I'm really concerned for the storm season. For a Milton type event that we're gonna see flooding, double what we've seen over there, and that was pretty significant.
okay. So, all right, so let's look at the options. So so first of all, they're county roads, and the county does have, and they did after the hurricane, send vacuum trucks that were, specifically to suction out, really all they can do is clean out the entrance of the drain, but if stuff has just poured into there and hasn't really had a chance to wash away, I would think there's a chance that just asking the county if they can come by now that the leaf drop is over and just on the main roads that they have access to, just give us a clean out. I don't think there's any harm in asking for that. And I mean, if there's a cost associated, again, this is ounce of prevention territory.
Can I ask, being that they are county drains, are we allowed to touch them at all? Are we allowed to do anything? I only ask because I've seen like these mesh sort of like screens that go on there so the water can get through, but the leaves can't. Do we have the ability to add that or we cannot, or can we not?
No, residents cannot touch that.
Well, not residents, but
I don't have the answer to
No.
that question.
Well, that I know for sure. So I've had this come up in another district with David Hamstra, who has said, no, they are not to be touched.
Right. I mean, yeah, the yes, it's a county issue in that it's county road and there's the whatever structure right there comes off the road that the county can clean out. Where it goes from there, the pipelines and the outfalls into the pond, that is 100% CDD responsibility. So that, and maybe the maintenance of that involves going in through the street or going in from the pond side. We've had issues, like that in the past.
Right, I was just
But
trying to figure out if there was a way for us to even prevent it getting there, like prevent the leaves from getting down into the drains.
They're putting so much there, even if we're broke down to a powder, it would clog. It's not, I'm talking piles bigger than this table we're sitting at. Feet deep, and it's absurd.
So I know David Hamstra has a good relationship with Atlantic Pipe Services that may be able to do something in this regard. I don't know what their capacity is for this, but I can certainly look into it with him, with the board's direction if that's.
right, and I mean, there would be, obviously, there's a cost for even doing the inspection.
Yes.
Never mind if they if they're just able to jet it out or if doing the inspection reveals other issues, because some of these pipes are going to be 20+ years old. There's roots, there's just decay over time. So and I'm not saying it's a bad thing when we find something that needs to be fixed. It's better to fix it before it backs up and causes a problem somewhere else. But there's that option. As far as the amount of leaf pickup United that you guys are doing, where does that fall like in our contract? And is that something that, I mean, we're in budget season, so is that something that would it be possible is that something we maybe need to budget more for to have more coverage of you guys able to be running more
Or
pickups?
contract somebody else out with you guys, I don't know, but I feel like there's two things, we need to get the drains cleaned out.
Yeah.
So we don't have issues with flooding, and then we need to prevent this from happening again. Because it comes up every year, people complain about the leaves and then them not following instructions on where to collect them and put them and all this stuff, and it's a reoccurring thing that seems.
So it's important to know that Harmony has 2 leaf falling seasons. One for our sycamore trees, and we have over 800 here. And some of the whole roads are sycamores. They don't have a single oak tree. And that's between, Thanksgiving and the holidays. Then it stops. And then we have what we're seeing now is our live oaks. So it's 2. Yes, it's in our contract for our service areas that we are to pick them up. The problem is let's talk about Caprior. Half of the road is our trees, it's our irrigation, but we do not provide any maintenance. like I've said in the past, I've cut deals with the landscapers. They'll pull them over at least and it's organized and we'll come up and pick them up.
Yeah.
But the ones that don't have lawn maintenance, it just sits. You could drive down Five Oaks, Caprior and Schoolhouse right now and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. The sod that we put down. Some areas you can't see it, it's so filled with leaves.
Yeah.
If we were to add to it, I do recommend, at least on the main roads, on that where we service irrigation and trees, let us pick that up. Not for the sake that, I mean, of course, it's not the funnest task, but I'm deeply concerned with the drainage here because I've seen how bad it is. I've seen it back up where it goes over both lanes where you can't even see the curb.
So maybe a seasonal additional leave pickup from United during those seasons to
Yeah.
help out with the residents and.
And we
prevent
try
it.
to help out, like, right over here, there's nothing but sycamore trees and half the road. We maintain, then the other half is residents.
Right.
Sycamores, they drop all at once. It overwhelms them. So we'll send a team just for the drains. Hey, we're not mowing this week. Go over there and help them up. Help them get them up, but it's getting to the point where they're almost not picking them up at all.
Okay, and next point related to this. Joseph, doesn't Infomark have access to some kind of street sweeping pickup kind of, have you been able to learn anything
So-
about that?
Yeah, so we do. We have one at our celebration warehouse. I will actually let Howard, who is there every day, give us an idea of what that would look
That's celebration.
like. Okay.
Okay, so so
Gotcha.
it sounds like it would
Right
involve a
next to our
flatbed, flat. Okay, how much did it cost?
Oof.
6 digits, probably?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure, yeah,
And they have the same problem that we have. I service that property.
right.
Still,
right.
even with that?
No,
Or that
yeah,
takes
they
care
have to
of it?
go, well, that's an overwhelming property.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's probably just a supplement to it, but even still, yeah, I mean, it's not worth us to purchase that
Right.
here.
We're gonna take turns driving it. No.
I don't know where you're gonna put it.
Yes, right,
It's big.
yes, yeah.
Um,
Just making sure we'll consider all options that are available for us, so.
we have billy goats that we also use and it's like it's a massive vacuum but nonetheless.
Okay, yeah, so it sounds like we're going to, Infomark will reach out to the county about doing a vacuum of the street drains. Do we need to move to talk to David when, and I forgot to mention, David's not here tonight. He had a bereavement recently, so we'll go over that when we get to his portion, but do we want to reach out to him for Atlantic Pipe, and do we want to look at inspection? What do we think as a board? Do we just want to start with
So-
that?
So before you vote, so what I can do is get with him on a meeting date where we get a representative from Atlantic Pipe Service to give us a formal quote on what it would look like and then present at to the board potentially at the next meeting.
Okay, as well as his input on
course.
just knowing what kind of leaf fall and
Yes.
debris has been introduced to the system and what amount of rain we haven't had so far and what the best way to deal with that is from his point of view.
Yeah, can't they go down there and look and see, what the damage is?
Yeah, I think they have like a camera that
Or
can send
so,
down
yep.
there and see what's up. Yeah.
So let's get that.
Okay, so, and we can just give you direction to do that. Do we
Yeah,
need a
there's a-
motion and,
But yeah. Potentially have a proposal at the next meeting just to see what that looks like.
okay, sounds good. Was there anything else, questions we had about, or, yeah,
I don't want to take any more of your guys' time.
Oh, please.
Um,
you guys are doing a great job, so this is a good time.
in the field report, you'll notice there was a couple of issues regarding plants due to the drought. I didn't want you guys to think that, I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't want to bring a proposal because this time of the year we have drought. And I just don't want to put in plants and, have to run the water nonstop when we know that Toho will shut us down. So I don't want to say I shelf them. It's just not the time of the year to go put flowers and plants or not flowers, but shrubs at that entrance. But I did notate them and I set an alarm to revisit this in June. So I did acknowledge those. And another thing I wanted to bring up that was also in that field inspection report was the playground mulch. The reason why I didn't bring that proposal, because just sitting back there, I've heard that the playgrounds come up a lot, with other things that were needed. I don't know anything about, priority levels on that. So we understand that a proposal is needed for the parks. My question is there other things that need to be done first before the mulch, priority wise for safety? Because if it sits, because the mulch prices change pretty often. So I didn't want to give a proposal and then we have to wait on it 60 days just for the number to change, even if it's out of my control. The parks is that ongoing? Are you guys?
I have that on my list to bring up, which I can address right now. If
Microphone.
that's okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Microphone.
can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So like I said, I actually have that on here because the playgrounds I get, on average, I'm gonna say like one email a day or one message a day regarding the dirt pile that is, especially the Buck Lake Playground. Underneath the swings, it's complete, just a dirt hole, in a lot of areas. So I think with the weather warming up, this should be a priority for us. I have a 2-year-old, but so obviously I have cohorts that have children the same age, and we've actually gone to playgrounds outside of Harmony just because the kids just go there and get dirty. So I would appreciate that, as I know several others, I can share some of the emails that I've gotten to remulch the playgrounds. I think is a priority.
So what I can do is I can provide that proposal and have it ready for review at the next CDD meeting, if that works for all of you.
Mike, can you hear me? Wasn't he gonna have the playgrounds,
So we were gonna have someone from out.
inspected? So we
I
could find out.
I think that was an equipment issue, right? Versus
Yeah,
the
that was
mulch.
repair of the physical playground's not the mulch.
Okay, well, I know it's different, but didn't you ask like,
So if they're gonna be ripping out slots
Yes.
and everything, I didn't want to go and put fresh mulch.
Right.
just
That makes
for-
sense.
exactly.
That's why I was like, let me
Well,
talk to
So
you
we need to
guys.
get, he needs to say what.
Can I touch on that really quick? So Infomark ourselves have just been able to acquire a certification to then be able to fully inspect the playgrounds that Harmony has, to then give our best, I would say, foot forward on how to land with repairs for the playgrounds. I know you have more contact information on that than I do.
Yeah, so we just recently got into certification, so we have a certified playground staff. And so it's very new to and providing that service and basically tell you what going on.
Right.
Mulch. It's non-existent places.
Right.
The actual structures themselves, most of them are in good shape. We've got deeper to look at them. There's some ones that are in great shape, there are others that need some work done to them. And so we can identify that.
Okay, so it sounds like and Howard, sorry, Mike didn't pick him up, but it was speaking about that Infomark has the capability now for having someone inspecting and qualified for safety inspections for playground equipment. So what we should have for next month is a proposal for mulch, and make sure we're at least consulting with Infomark. So if there are any playground structures that are in need of heavy enough work that make mulch a bad idea there, let's make sure those aren't part of the proposal. But if there's something that the equipment's in the clear and it just needs mulch, let's get it done.
Yeah, and also I believe last meeting, we discussed that there would be a professional coming in to evaluate all our playgrounds. Last meeting, you said that you were having a third-party consultant come and do all our playgrounds, right? So now it sounds like though Infomark has their own person, which is fine. Can we still have that third party come and just like, so we have two quotes and compare and
From what I understand, we did, right? Do you want to wait until just? so
Okay.
we can hear
Okay.
him? Do you want to wait?
All right, we'll discuss in the
Yeah,
field
finish
services.
the-
All right, perfect. That everything for Nick?
Anything else, Nick?
No, that's it, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes, really.
This is
the place looks beautiful.
Thank you so much. That
Thank
means
you.
a lot. I really appreciate your time, guys.
We can
Thank you.
tell, I'll let you take part.
Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, we have the
Field inspection.
field inspection report. Yes, so Raul, if you can come on up.
how it is.
Good evening, for record, Jose Pabon, field manager from Infomark. Basically, now that I have the opportunity, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the other company. Right now, just do a quick search right here for the amount. Actually, I did receive a quote for the inspection. And the reason that I was talking with Howard, and then we decided to weigh a little bit more into the person that we currently have, which is Carrie, the person that is certified, is because the number that they were charging for the inspection itself, I mean, was
Astronomical.
high.
Okay.
I have the proposal. I'm trying to look up it right now here. I can send it to you guys. That way you guys have the opportunity to look up to it, but it was like really, really, really high for each one of them.
What's the name of the proposal? Is it the-
Actually, the company is called Jammin Playgrounds.
Jago Pro.
No,
yeah,
Jago,
right,
no,
like,
no,
that's
it's not
not
included,
on
yeah, no, it's not in
Okay.
the, yes. So basically, that's why with Infomark, now that we have the ability to do that, that's what we're gonna do it.
Gotcha, that
Correct.
makes sense.
Yes,
Okay,
because, I mean, once you see the numbers, you will understand why we didn't proceed with it.
thank you.
So, but that being said, I just want to talk a little bit more. I'm gonna give you this, and I apologize, that it's not included in the agenda. I actually received this today. Is for the Buckley restroom. I received this proposal to get the restroom repaired. So I literally received that today
What's this for?
for the Buckley restrooms.
Which we need to get back.
Yes.
Right.
running.
And I mean, that's the amount for that is the threshold we need to approve as a board. I,
Before, yeah.
yep.
Before you take that decision, we have one of their vendors that is here, who's Jago, that is there. They also
Okay.
provide a proposal for this, so that they're gonna present it. They're here today, they're gonna present it.
Okay.
So I'm just
Okay.
gonna give you guys, and then after, if you guys wanna take the decision, we can proceed with that.
Both
Okay.
For the Buck Lake.
Yeah,
restaurant?
they're both for the Buckley,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay,
because,
and I mean, so we're discussing now. Are they here in the audience or are they on Zoom?
yes, they're here. They're here in the back. They have it, but also they have like a separate section for them, because also they're gonna be able to provide information for the quote for the panel replacement and the cap briar 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're able to do that as well.
The panels as in the.
Yeah, the concrete,
Okay.
the sidewalks.
Got it,
Yes.
gotcha. So their proposal is gonna include both these things?
Yeah, so basically, he provided me a proposal for for the restroom. And also, he's gonna provide me a proposal for the sidewalks. So what I did, to start by sections, I told him to prioritize the cap briar, since that's the worst that we have right now.
Okay.
So right now here in the, I'm gonna show you this one right here. I received also that one recently. That one, I have another proposal for that same company. It's just to replace the doors that we currently have in the Buck Lake for the restrooms, because along the years, kids, hitting the doors,
Yeah.
kicking the doors, I mean, they need to be replaced. I already bought the doors, so I have them. The proposal that they give me from that company is in the agenda. That one it is. So
Okay.
before I continue, I don't know if you have any question at the moment for,
So I guess, do we then just wait to?
Yeah, we can, yes, we can, bring this up, after we've heard the proposal from,
Right.
the other companies here.
okay.
Okay.
And then so about I wanna inform that for next week, I have in the schedule we have two boats. The ones that are for fishing is called the bass boats. We're gonna remove the bass boat from the lake, because we're gonna take it to the back. We're gonna paint the boats. So
Okay.
I'm gonna, just in case you guys receive any email that the boat's not available for a couple of days, is because we are actually gonna remove the boats starting on Tuesday to paint the boats and, have them in better shape.
Okay.
For the inspection, that we had, pretty much all the issues that are shown here in the inspection are already done. For the last inspection, starting with the issue number 3, which was the pressure washing in both entrance for the fence. That's already has been taken care. The issue number 1, I am looking for the lights, because if I cannot find the same light, I will have to buy 6 of them. That way everything can look uniform.
Right.
So I'm in the process to look up for those specific lights. I mean, I don't know how long those lights has been installed, so I mean, that's go by law, basically.
Right.
And so I'm working,
How much are the lights each?
that's what I'm trying to find that one specific, but we're looking about roughly 200-300 per light.
Okay.
And we
Do
need
we
to,
have a record, of like maybe the last time those were changed and where we got them from?
for my understanding, there are original ones that was installed when that
Original
structure,
to the neighborhood?
when that structure was built, like that one particular in the entrance. That one is the one in the west entrance.
West entrance, not
Yes.
the east entrance.
No, west entrance.
Okay, so it says east on here, but
The
that's,
light-
yeah, I mean, the west entrance was built after, later than the east
Oh,
entrance.
Yes.
By, I'm guessing 5 years or so. So it's maybe only 15 years old versus 20,
Okay.
or 25, yeah, so. Okay, so sounds good, you can keep working on
So
that.
about the issue number 7, that was part of what Nick was talking about, of the leaves. I mean, I was able to get the team to pick up those leaves. I mean, I could stand right in the middle and literally those leaves almost wasn't my knees.
Wow.
I mean, there was a lot. But the guys was able to take care of that, at least in that specific area in the Cap Briar. So that was been taken care as well. Issue number 11 and 12, the same day that we did the inspection, Howard and myself, I had that my team taking care of the same day.
Mhm.
Also, issue number 14, that's for the Ashley pool, and when you're coming out, I already ordered the pole. I just waiting to receive it. That way the guys can just install that the new one. The issue number 15, that's here in the swimming club. I already a vendor from like Nona Glass. They already came here, and I'm just waiting for them to send me over their proposal.
Okay.
And the issue number 19, which is the gate for both pool. Actually, the one for the Ashley was painted today, and the one from the Buckley already was painted last week. So that's already taken care of.
Okay.
The 88 pads, I ordered the 88 pads with Uline. I'm just waiting to receive. I ordered 5. That way I can start replacing the ones that are really, really bad, and they continue, because each one of those 88 pads is like $300. And so that's why I'm just doing the inventory to know how many specific do I need. But at least I know for sure there is 5, like literally needs to be replaced for yesterday. So that's why I'm just waiting. As soon as we receive it for next week, it's gonna be replaced. I don't know if for the moment, if anyone has any questions for me.
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
The issue 4, the cars parked on Little Blue Lane. I had to look up where Little Blue Lane was. Is that an alleyway? Is that, you know what I'm talking about? Is that an
Yeah.
alley?
Yes, yes. So basically it's the street is, I would like to call it like an easement. That, so basically it will be like, because after that is the fence, and then this the street outside. So it's between the street and the fence that we have that belongs to the CDD.
Okay. But they have, I mean, who are these, the residents, or you think? they're-
Correct, yes.
So they're not parking in their driveway? They have a driveway, right?
I mean, yes, yeah, those are like townhomes. So yes, they have, yes.
Okay, I just.
Yeah.
So if they tear the grass up, it's on them, right?
Correct,
I have something too quickly.
yes.
And I'll start with, I've told you, I talk to you regularly, how great. I mean, anytime I ask for something, like, it's done. Anytime anyone calls in, I send you a screenshot, like, you're on it, your guys are on it, so super appreciate that. I do want to just bring up, which I know I've brought up in the past, the access card issue.
Okay.
There's really no, and I know we've had this conversation, like I said, in the past, but because as I get the requests, I just forward them to you most of the time. And I think that, again, there's no clear procedure or standard operating procedures for people to just follow. And right now, there's also no consistency with, like fulfillment time or turnaround time for that. I know that at some point, we had established it was gonna be 1 to 3 days. It's been longer than that for sure for a couple that I've submitted. And then like if they're missing a form, I had to like follow up, right? And ask like, hey, did we get this resolved? And it's like, oh, well, they didn't submit this form local. Nobody let the resident know. And so all that to say, again, I'm going to emphasize the fact that we really need to establish some clear SOPs so that the residents don't have this frustration with, oh my gosh, I asked for my key card 3 weeks ago. No one's even gotten back to me. And things have gotten way better, but I think that's also because the board members have taken the initiative to sort of be the middleman, and sure, that's part of our job, but we could so streamline this. And I know you're keeping a spreadsheet, but I don't think that's enough. I guess that's the point I'm making here.
To get a little bit more into that, also today we have the opportunity to, we have a vendor, that he's gonna present basically a system about AI that it can keep can keep track about a bunch of things. For a sprinkler, issue, boat access, reservation, key, basically, let's say, access card. He's here as well. He's gonna be able to talk a little bit more into that. But to answer about the specific point, most of the time, just like indicates in the paper, and I know that you always has been sending me information when the residents send you stuff. Most of those emails also sometimes that I receive, they'll go directly to you. It's not that they send it directly to the CDD maintenance.
Right.
Once you send that to me, I contact directly the homeowner. But sometimes, I mean, I don't know how long you receive the email before you send it to me. And then from when I start doing the process.
Of course, I'm not
That's all.
faulting you for, the day that it takes me to get it to
Correct.
you. And I'm not saying that it's your fault either. I'm just saying you don't have the tools. There's no way that you could keep track of the individual 14 access card requests. And then when I ask about this one specifically, there's no central system to keep all this information in, which again, I know I brought up in the past, we had the proposal for the app, but I took the liberty of sort of like picking the brains of other management companies. And it seems that at the very least, a CRM system, a customer relation management tool, is pretty standard in the industry. So I'm just wondering if we could implement something like that at no additional cost to us, because again, I think I've said this before, us taking on the cost sort of seems like we're streamlining the management company's management job, right? Like we would have to pay to give you a tool to effectively serve us. Because right now, if we're being candid, we're not being effectively served because there's no way to hold anyone accountable to be able to track certain things. And again, this is not like an attack on you. I think it's just like the entire structure of the management team. I really think that we need to, as a board, guys, really apply some pressure here to get some sort of central monitoring log that way we can hold the management company field services accountable, and maybe like same for them on us if we had a step to complete, but it's very trackable, very easy to see. There's no like blurred lines, I think. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on that, I'm aware of some of the issues residents have had with taking an extended period of time to get an ID card. I would say it's kind of a weakness of having an email-based system where if someone sends the email to the wrong address, sometimes they'll get feedback that there's not someone at the address, but they might not, or they might not interpret that as I have a typo somewhere. And meanwhile, they think they've asked for help and no one has heard it. So
That's a fair point, but I can also name instances here where I've personally forwarded those and they've taken days. And then when I respond asking for a status update, which again, if we had a system to log all this, I wouldn't need to manually reach out to ask for an update. But then when I reach out and ask for an update, then it's like, oh, well, I didn't get this form or this has to be completed. And that was not communicated to the resident at all.
Fundamentally, I agree. I mean, we have had issues in the past, and I would like to give some credit to Joseph and Raul. I mean, they haven't been on as a super long time, and I mean that's part of the issue too. Having turnover, there's going to be kind of issues like this. But we're going to be hearing from a third option tonight. We have the proposal from Jungle Lasers, who does the boat reservations already. We have the GoGov that was suggested by residents, and we have a third option that we can have here to consider tonight. Fundamentally, I agree, yes, that it doesn't feel right for the entire cost to be borne by us, where it's something that is part of the management of the district and handling of issues that they come up. And we don't need to know how they handle field services in the back end and how they
Right.
select who does what task and all that. We don't need to see that, but know, there should be something better than just the email system we have now, where it's hopefully everyone sent to the right address, and
not
when it
only
doesn't, we have to
we
step
can
in.
see how it makes it clear to even track previous issues, like with this pool issue, right? We don't have somewhere where I can just go in and look, or Infomart can just go in and like, I think Joseph had to make calls to people who used to work here, to people who have served on the board, just to see like, hey, do we have like a paper trail of anything? And that just seems like,
We should, we shouldn't have to, dig
To
deep.
bring a little bit more into about what the specific subject about the pool, since I've been working here, there's been 3 requests. 2 are in dark sky and the other one is in the further grass. I keep record of that, since I started working here.
exactly.
I cannot answer any question before, but I know that at least for those specific, I've been myself recollecting the deposit. I mean, being part of the process. One is the 3129, that's in Dodge Cart. 3169, that's the house next to yours, and then there's one in the further grass. So at least for
And that's what I'm saying. You've been doing a great job. I know you mentioned you were keeping an Excel sheet to help yourself, right? But
I-
you're gone, that Excel sheet is gone. And then we're in the same spot next year that we're in right now. There's turnover and stuff. And to your point, Dan, like, right, the premise of this makes sense. So, we should apply the pressure, but additionally, from the very, very surface level research that I did, it does seem that with like 2 other companies at least, that's pretty industry standard, that there is a CRM. So I think that it's something that we need to.
and
Can I ask, the companies that you did the research with, are they in fact CDD companies, or are they just regular property management companies?
No,
Because I know from my experience, as I was a property manager before a district manager, yes, there are companies, they outsource third-party CRM systems that I've used in several companies. However, I haven't come across an actual CDD company that uses a factual or functional CRM, because it's hard to determine what goes where with an actual CRM usage or a platform for CDD, because there's so many revolving parts. And it's too,
Should all go on there. Anything that
It-
gets done, any ticket that comes in.
well, then that would need a dedicated person to get done, because I mean, right now Raul does do this, and I'm not taking away from his ability to do it, but he does do it, but also he is at
But
all
that's
times of day.
exactly my point. And yes, this is a community management company. But that's exactly my point, is that we don't have something like that dedicated. Whereas it seems that that's industry standard. So I'm asking the board, like, hey, we need to come up with a solution here because we keep dropping the ball. And I have another issue to bring up, but it's just gonna be another example of, someone calling me super pissed off. And I have to, I told you, now I have to go back and tell the resident, I'm talking about the situation of the pool, where it's like, well, now I have to go back and tell the resident, oh, sorry, our bad. And again, because there's no safety net, there's nowhere where all this is being tracked. We need to do better.
Well, and if I can touch on that, so I did confer with Michael Eckert. In the event, no supervisor should be having conversations with residents in regards to anything of that caliber. We're not allowed to say it, but you can, I guess, gauge where I'm leading with this.
No, I'm
So,
not.
okay.
I'm not
The-
following.
So what you're mentioning is an issue that happened at the pool with the footage system that's out there.
With something that was
Yeah.
right, taken.
Yeah. So according to Mike, and this is coming directly because I wanted to know where to stand with this. Supervisors should not be discussing that. If they have, if a resident has questions or needs to reach out, they should be reaching out to the district manager on that account.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I'm gonna finish that point and then I'd love to hear what you want to say, but this is all gonna come back to. We had an incident a couple months back where the same thing, we couldn't access something by the tunnel. And the same thing with, which we ended up finding out that's not our jurisdiction. We can't do anything about that. The school owns that, right? There was a same incident, but with requesting another angle, which was by the little pool. Come to find out, no good. And I already brought this up months ago. So then when we come back now and there's another issue, that another system in the neighborhood is also, oh, we just found out, oh, I gotta find out about that. Let me see who controls that. I don't understand how that information is not all central already. Every time, you know, whatever. I don't understand how the information is not central, but on top of that, the fact that we had this same issue a couple months ago and we didn't do our due diligence to make sure that we were gonna be good for the next time. And then I have to go back to the resident and let them know, sorry, we dropped the ball. We don't have that functionality because nobody bothered to check it for the past 2 years.
So,
It's really embarrassing
So-
on our part.
just to give you some context, and I found this out, there was a shade session in regards to this particular situation, which the board did not vote on doing anything on a repair basis.
Well,
or
then that's
replacement.
on us, for sure, but I had asked you that. and you
Yeah, and
didn't.
I found the information. So,
Okay.
that's where I believe, and let's talk about the, one of the subjects on the agenda, that was voted into play over the repair or replacement of these items.
Okay, yeah, and that's on the agenda for later on.
Yep.
We'll touch on that. Yeah, well, we're getting 7:30 already, so, I do want to make sure that we are, I mean, structurally as a board, our job is to, make decisions and not be doing the day-to-day stuff, but hire a company that does that day-to-day stuff and then they're accountable to us to be doing that job well. So it is absolutely correct for us to be getting feedback from residents, and if they feel they are not, having their concerns addressed that the CDD should be doing, then absolutely that's a conversation we should be having. Some of that is, later in the agenda here, but I agree with a lot of what you're saying. For the purposes of getting through the meeting, is there anything else for the field service report that we,
Actually,
or other questions we have
yeah,
for Raul?
the last thing that I have here, I just want to talk a little about it because the vendor wasn't able to be here today. He will be for the next meeting. Is about the sidewalk. That's you guys have a copy of it. And then also the one that is in the agenda is from the same company that he's present a proposal to replace the doors at the Buckley. But Jago, they're also gonna present a proposal for that as well.
Okay,
So I just.
And- all right, and just speaking specifically to that 10,000 square feet, what does that translate to?
So
All-
basically that'll be all cap briar on both sides.
Both sides, cap briar,
The cap briar on both sides.
On both sides.
Yes.
of just the damaged panels raised, or,
The one that because we did an inventory and I did it myself and Howard helped me also to finish it. We did our inventory of, right now we have my field staff team, they are grinding. So those are not gonna be replaced, is the one that actually needs to be replaced.
okay, and this is for the replacement of everything that can't be ground down.
Correct.
Cap briar both sides,
That's correct.
Got it.
Yes. Yes.
okay?
That'll be for the cap briar. Any further questions for me?
One of our streets.
Yeah, one on the streets, yes.
Oh.
For sure.
All right, anything else for Raul? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Next is. Okay, we had the consideration for the commercial door proposal that was in the agenda and. Have it.
It's in the bathrooms, Buck Lake. Buck Lake bathrooms, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, all right. And and this was the lowest cost proposal, or is this proposal are there competing proposals that we're hearing? Okay, all right, so we'll stand by on taking any action on that for now. Next was the district engineer. Unfortunately, what?
I didn't hear the discussion with the Jackal present. I thought they were here. Sorry, the discussion for the proposal with,
Okay, so, sorry, Jago Pro is, we have someone here and has,
yeah,
okay,
to have them.
sorry, yep,
Yep, no
all right, I apologize, coming up. Yeah, we can't turn the speaker up much louder without getting feedback, so we'll make sure that we have our mics turned on as much as possible. And then this is the mic here. It should pick you guys up if you were seated in front, but please introduce yourselves to the board and
Okay. Hi. We have three proposals. So first time with you guys, sorry.
If you could
Yep.
just a little bit
Yep.
closer into there so that the
Yeah.
residents. can-
Okay.
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah, we are here with three proposals. We prefer one package for everyone. We have the third one, which is the concrete sidewalk repair, which include 65 squares that they are 62 by 62 by 6. The other one is 31 squares, 93 by 96 by 6. The proposal includes to start them down, prep for the concrete, finishing them, and clean and pick up every dirt, and leveling them as is needed because the roots. The proposal excludes roots removed and shaving or leveling the edge of that one does need to be shaved or leveling in that way.
Okay, so oh, this is for, my understanding is these are all apples to apples proposals for the Catbrier sidewalks. So for the sidewalk panels that can't just be shaved down, need to be removed and replaced,
Yes.
both sides of Catbrier. Yes, that's right. Yeah, so let's talk about the concrete one first. So Brittany, you had a question?
Just to be clear, right? So these are apples to apples.
That's my understanding.
Okay, and then right here, this is just a typo maybe where it says
Yeah.
Harmony CDD bathroom doors.
That's another proposal.
No, this is the.
to do.
Well, that says
What's
that's the
the type?
project name. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's. right.
No.
So there's three separate
Proposals. yes.
proposals in this folder. So
Project here.
all right, so. Right, we're talking over each other, so we have to, no, it's okay. There are three proposals in here. We're going to go over them as quickly as we can, but they are in large part side by side with proposals that are in the agenda from economy. Sorry. Yeah, economy systems. So the first one we were looking at was the concrete sidewalk repair. So again, that is the panels on Catbrier, both sides that are too out of shape to be shaped down. They have to be removed and replaced. My question is, if there is a route there that caused it to be out of shape, what happens? Is that a charge? Do we need to have our landscaper work with you on that? What would be the procedure?
We exclude that part of the proposal. We're able to help. But because we don't know how deep there are or what is the situation, by the time that we remove it, we can do like a change order by the hour, and we definitely can help to agenda that, but it's nothing that I can give you any number accurate. without
sure.
knowing.
No, understandable.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure what would happen were that to be the case. And then the question for Infomark, do we have that same language from the other proposal? So it's right. It's okay. It says excavation, gravel base layer compaction, or hardscape demolition not included. So it sounds like there potentially be the same issue there with.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So
So
that's
neither one of them would include that, right? That would be determined.
that's what it sounds like. Yes. Okay.
Any question on this one, or we can move to another one?
Do we want to like vote for all of them? at
I
once,
think,
or-
well, yeah, we've got them up here. Let's go ahead and go through all three of them, get any questions we have answered. All right, so next we had the water pump.
The water pump. In this one, we set our guys to check it. Let me check if I have water. No, this is the doors. And we are proposing a troubleshooting here because that pump is inside the
bathroom building.
septic tank.
Oh,
It's inside the ground. You can see there in the picture.
Sorry, excuse me, sir, before you
Here.
continue.
yes,
So I'll let you know, so our MSB representative, the refinance
right, yes.
piece he's got to go. So he's gonna dial in. and
Okay.
Give us an explanation.
Yeah, copy that. Yep, sorry. Wait,
Is that for
this
the
is
second, the second option?
for the refinance.
Okay,
Yep.
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, and we're sorry. We thank you
He's-
for your
That's
patience.
Brett, sorry, he's
Had a lot to work through tonight. Thank you.
thank you.
We'll talk to you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you can notice in this picture, there is, where is the bomb inside? We have to open and then have it, pull it to know which kind of pump it is, how many horsepower have, what is the voltage and all the details.
Right.
To give you a exact proposal as the way done for that.
Right.
So are these apples to apples?
I think that, well, this one is apples to apples with the one from Wind River that we just received, right, Jorge?
Yeah.
Or Raul, right? So this one here, it looks like this isn't a troubleshoot. This is a fixed replacement cost.
Understood.
Comes in higher, so this would be 2 steps, and we until you guys would be just looking to replace what was already exactly there.
Yes. Yeah, we are proposing to check what is wrong, to fix it, beside give you a whole system. I think it's better, in our opinion.
Okay, do we have any? Yeah, this is the bathrooms at Buck Lake have been shut down because of this, I believe, original installation. Water pump that is also tied in with the septic system there. So we have a replacement proposal from Wind River, and we have the troubleshoot proposal from Jago here. All right, do we have any other questions for the second proposal?
This one seems pretty straightforward.
Or any other corrections, updates from Infomark? Make sure I'm describing everything correctly. Okay, third one,
So-
oh yeah, go ahead.
Before we get into this, so we're paying somebody to install commercial doors into our bathroom. We're not able to do it ourselves.
Basically,
Like-
doors that we have, the job that needs to be done, I mean, we don't have a person specialized here in the field that you can go ahead and proceed with that. You might not be like.
Okay, okay, so to restate that, it sounds like those larger bathroom doors, they need to be like set in concrete or something. Okay, yeah, so there, it's not just popping a new door on the hinges, there's concrete
I
work.
know,
and-
I was just
right.
making sure, because it's $1,600 to install 2
Yeah,
doors.
I'm restating for the microphone, just because, probably did pick up
Yeah.
well.
Thank
so,
you for the clarification.
yes, all right.
Yeah, that's the third one, and is to remove and replace the doors
Okay.
with frames and attach them to the walls properly with concrete and all the hangers that is needed to do the job.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any questions about the third one in particular, or just in general, about, I mean, I'm not sure if have we had Jago do work for us in the past, or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Give us a 30-second summary of your company, where you guys from, what kind of work do you guys do if we were to use you in the future?
Okay, Jago Pro is a company that has around 10 years in the market. We work usually for Sam's Club doing maintenance repairs on medium projects for them. JCPenney is another of those customers. Bearman in Lake Nona is another of our customers. We serve all Central Florida and a couple cities down 75 until Fort Myers. In 90 and at the 95, we serve Melbourne, West Palm Beach, and other cities there with those customers. And we do almost from trees to keys projects, because we can design and do anything in the construction business.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, good to know. All right, thank you for coming here and being patient with all of our
No, it's
all of our
okay.
discussions. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Excuse me.
All right, so Joseph, making sure I understand. So we basically have 3 proposals that are as apples to apples as can be. We have the sidewalk proposal, which, I mean, that's a safety issue. That's something that we've discussed for a long time, and it's not something that's it would take field services an inordinate long time to do that and require equipment rental versus here's what an outside pro would be able to do. 2 of them, we have the competing proposals. Do you have any comments on the whole issue of the roots and hardscaping issues and how we think that would be handled?
I also, for the sidewalks project. For the next meeting, I have 3 more proposals that they're gonna be present. They will, the person was not able to be here today, so that's why, and by the time that he sent it, we wasn't able to include it in the agenda. It was really long because the person, he already did one from 5 Oak, Schoolhouse Road and Cap Ryan.
Okay,
So basically, that proposal is gonna be present for the next meeting.
okay,
But about for the door to get a little bit more about for the reason that we get in a vendor, actually the doors are inside the concrete, so
right,
they have to be reframed, everything has to.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, all right, so I guess a question for council, I mean, we have some proposals for the sidewalks, it's a known safety issue, but we also have, you said, one more vendor, but
We have 3 more proposals. Or
3 proposals
three
from
diff-
one more
No,
vendor,
3 different vendors.
3 more vendors,
Yes.
including Catbrier.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and we just don't have those yet, or
No, we
they're
don't.
too long? I mean, if they're like price points that we could be comparing now and making a decision now versus waiting a month for a potential safety issue, that's my concern.
There is 2 of those vendors that I have 1 more, but actually he sent it literally yesterday, so I wasn't able to include it in the agenda. And he would like to, talk a little bit more into it, just for details, just in case you guys have any questions about it. And then the other 2, they're on process. They're gonna be visiting the community between this week and the other to complete the walk around and run the community to have the final numbers.
My thoughts are that's a big enough spend that we can, give it another 30 days and
Yeah, that makes sense probably. For the sake of
Yeah,
time, do you
for the
happen to
sidewalk,
know
yeah.
what that ballpark, what that number was?
Me-
Approx.
yeah, I mean, we have this number from economy, another number from Jago.
I mean, but you said you got another one this
Yeah,
morning.
I got another one and the numbers were really, really different. It was higher.
Exponentially different. And I'm
Yes.
talking about you're seeing,
Now you're missing some cereals right there.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
you're
Okay.
talking
More.
about- Just to give context,
Okay,
it's past a million,
Okay,
what's past what?
past a million.
Oh, okay, so then
But-
do we bother
But
bringing
not,
them in?
okay, it will be for all 3 streets, like
But it's
together,
for-
that was,
it's
yes,
Just,
yes.
just for clarification, it's Cat Briar, Schoolhouse
And
and
5
Five
Oaks.
Oaks.
Yes.
right, but I mean, that's 3 streets. They're not too different in length from each other. For a million plus, you're saying, versus we have
Right.
proposals for 90 and
So
under 60.
my opinion
with
is
it.
I would also like to get our district engineer to review some of the quotes and maybe bring in somebody that he trusts and have done something like this before.
Yeah, so I agree absolutely. For the sidewalks, that's a big enough job. We absolutely want to be doing this with our engineer
Yeah.
and making
So
sure
what
that,
I'll
yes.
do is I'll set up a site visit between David Hampshire, myself and Raul, or we can assess the situation and see if he has a vendor or someone he can contact to help mediate this and get a better adequate number. Yeah, okay.
Right,
Yeah, that'd be
so-
great.
right, and we have the 2 proposals that are here. I mean,
But I'm okay with voting on the other stuff if we want to.
absolutely.
I think those are kind of emergency things that need to get done and low cost so we can get those. kicked
Yes,
off.
I agree entirely.
But
Okay,
just-
so you would like to just table these until we get a.
I think we,
facts from
I would
David?
like, I think we should table the sidewalk proposal, the being potentially a very large expenditure to get some more vendor input, plus most importantly, our district engineer. I mean, this is why we have him, to make sure that we're, not missing anything important with a big, civil job like
Figure out
this.
the routes and how we're gonna do it.
Right, right. So, for the sidewalks anyways, for the bathroom doors and for the sewage pump, those are knock off several zeros from the price. Let's take care of these right now. And we do have, there aren't any other vendors that you wanted to be aware of. We have side by side
Yes.
for, okay. So I would say on the
Who do
issue.
who do you want to take?
So we have the proposal for the commercial door installation. These are still, I mean, they're fairly different from each other. Jago seems, it's higher, but it's also, at least from the surface, looks a lot more thorough, and they also have
So we don't know the issue of the pump, right? It's just not working.
correct.
From what I understand, it's backing up consistent.
Okay.
Right, and with Wind River, we I guess one other question is, we have the district council on the line, and most, the economy one, I don't know if they have Ts and Cs with their proposal. I don't see any, but we do for Wind River and we do for Jago. Would we, if we approved any of these, that would be subject to, would it be legal that needs to review the T and Cs, make sure everything is
They
the
would send
district
out
protected?
authorization, and then they would create it, and then they would also send out the human trafficking document for the vendor.
Okay,
If you could, sorry. Yes, so the legal will have to get involved.
okay. And it does do, so on those other two topics, do the rest of the board have any thoughts?
So did Wind River come out and look at the area?
Today.
They did.
Yeah.
Today, okay, because their quote seems like they want to install a new pump.
So they came today to do, so they test the unit, and basically the problem is, I know for sure that is the pump, just because first of all, that pump is the original one that was installed when the Buckley version, yeah, it was built.
Right.
For my knowledge, has not been replaced. I mean, the closest reference that I have is Brad, since has been here working for the CDD a couple years. So basically that never has been changed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Yeah, I feel like if this is a fix,
yeah, so as long as the terms are acceptable, there's not like a chance for this cost to balloon on us if they start the installation and suddenly find out that they need to, as long as we're protected and that there's, I understand the, breaking it up into the troubleshooting, the estimate phase, and then the repair phase. But if this is a end-to-end contract and the district is protected by the Ts and Cs, that we're not risking extra costs being sprung on us if they start the job and find there's more to it.
including piping, necessary fittings, etc.
Right. So my thought would be just to start with this, since it looks like a more turnkey, complete solution, as long as council gets to look at it and give their blessing. So I would move to accept the proposal from Wind River Environmental
Okay.
in the amount of 1575 for the replacements of the Buck Lake bathroom pump.
Because the Django Pro one is just for troubleshooting.
Right.
It's not for replacing. It's just.
Correct. That would be
For them to look at it.
right. That would be a fine.
Whereas this is.
Right. It sounds like they kind of already did that. It sounds
This
like.
is already troubleshoot or whatever.
So there's a motion on the table.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Okay.
All right.
Second.
you got it.
I just wanted that.
All right.
clarified.
So we have the motion in a second. Is there anything else we want to discuss or questions we want to ask to? All right. All in favor? Aye. All right. Moving on to the concrete door. Yes. The pile is shrinking. We have the proposal again from Jago, and I really appreciate them coming out here and looking at the scope of the work. They are the proposal we have in the agenda for economy. It's a smaller amount. It's saying basic labor to install with favorable site conditions, measure trim, plain slab door to fit existing door jamb opening. Comparing the scope of the work, I mean, it does cost more, but this seems like a more thorough, like if the doors are indeed, like set in concrete, what confidence do we have that this proposal from economy is, says they can do it in 2 hours and that includes materials, or what's field services opinion on the economy proposal?
My opinion, I think the Jag Pro one is a little more detailed, as you said. But it's entirely up to the board, but Raul, speak up. Sure.
It says obviously basic labor, set up and clean up. It doesn't specifically state the painting.
For
Caulking, does it include all that?
for that one, the painting is gonna be done in-house, the paint, at least the painting.
Okay, so you would do that after,
Yes, the paint, yes,
and did
yes.
we get charged extra for that?
No, that's no.
Okay, but as far as, I mean, did they have someone come out here and look at it?
Oh, yes, he actually, the owner, he came in Monroe, I met with him over there in the pool. Also, he came to do the inspection for the sidewalks. So based on the two proposals that you guys have here, with this one. I mean, it has a little bit more into details and how they want to do the procedure and everything, but at the end of the day, you guys have the final word.
Right. I mean, this it says quantity to and a rate. I mean, if that's like an hourly rate, I mean, just the labor
So
estimate,
basically, it's just to do the labor in each door.
2 doors, got it.
Yes.
Sorry, no, that makes sense. That makes
Yes.
sense. Okay. All right.
The same amount, yes, the same
Yeah,
amount, yes, for 2 doors, yes.
So,
Yes.
so just to be clear, with the economy, it's obviously, significantly less, over $1,000 less. But that's because you and your team would be taking over the painting and that sort of thing afterwards.
So the painting part, yes.
So, but this will include, then the economy one doesn't include like caulking, miscellaneous hardware, all that.
Based on the specific, on the description of the, correct.
Says to fit existing door jamb opening, install locks, includes equipment and material acquisition, area prep and protection, setup and cleanup. So that sounds like that would include that kind of finishing work.
Yes.
So I'll say to the crew from Jago that came here, you guys are absolutely in the lead for the sidewalk job. But we want to, be a little, have a little more diligence on that. And we really do appreciate you coming out here, and we'll make sure that we include you guys in the future. That said, I will move, we accept the proposal from Economy for the estimate number 1687 in the amount of $590 to replace the 2 Buck Lake bathroom doors.
I'll second that.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. All right. Ooh, all right. Getting back to our agenda. So, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead there. Next, we had, we already discussed the proposal. District engineer, our district engineer, David Hamstra, unfortunately had a death in the family this week, so he will not be here. He did want to communicate, and he sent a picture. I'm not going to be able to get it up onto the Zoom very easily. The ramp is done. The ramp for the CDD sidewalk going into the tunnel has already been done. We'll make sure a picture is in the next month's agenda for posterity and for the record and everything. But yes, it was done. The ADA ramps and everything, finishing work. I didn't get a chance to see it myself, but we got it done.
Really detailed lines and slopes and everything.
Excellent.
In addition.
My husband was like, well, we can pick the ramp, but I'm like, so we go by, I'm like, that's
Yeah, all right. So all around, sounds like, a great job, and, our thoughts are with David. He'll be back for us next week. One thing for audience comment, we do have a question out, and I mentioned this to David, to make sure that we would be in the clear for potentially having the landscaper do maintenance on walking trails that are on CDD property, but also in conservation areas. He'd be our expert to make sure that we're in the clear on having that done, and that we're not violating any Army Corps of Engineer wetlands protection rules or whatever. So making sure everything is being done properly there, but we are working on getting that done. Next is District Council. You've been extremely patient with us, Kubra, but thanks for being on the line, and you have the floor.
Hey, good evening, board. My name is Ryan Dugan. I work with Mike, and I'm filling in for him tonight. Unfortunately, he had a conflict, so it's nice to meet everyone. And I'm happy to. Mike briefed me on the matters for tonight's agenda, and I'm happy to walk through these with you. So the first one on the agenda is you have a public hearing, and this is for rules related to signage on your entrance towers for your businesses within your community. So the intent of tonight is to have a public hearing to give the public an opportunity to speak on the matter, and then also to take board action after the public hearing. So to kick off, the first thing we would want to do is have a motion by the board to open the public hearing.
I will do that. I will move to open the floor for the public hearing related to the license fee and removal deposit rule development.
Second that.
All right. If we have any public comments, either here in person or on the Zoom, this would be the time. All right.
Okay, Carol Castle, 3323 Schoolhouse Road again. I have not seen the documentation on this, but I just want to state again, I think thank you. I think allowing signs on the tower and possibly elsewhere is going to be a big headache for the CDD, that it's going to be a management nightmare, and you're going to be facing some difficult circumstances in terms of people asking you to do this, that, or the other thing. It's going to be difficult to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if Infomark asked for more money for managing this. And it just seems like a lot of cost for the CDD in terms of legal fees and et cetera, for very little return, just to please a few businesses. So I've said my piece.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Any other audience? Yep, Joe, come on up.
Joe Janizek, 7159 Oak Glen Trail. I just think the fees are a little low.
That what? Sorry.
Fees are low
These are low.
for, every 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bargain. And I don't see any kind of description as to, size, coloring, how's it going to present? Can they buy 2 squares, 1 square? Can they buy the whole side? I don't know how that's going to work. That's my only concern. I just think that's probably based on some of the same reasons Carol mentioned, that I think it's going to be work for somebody to do this. And costs could be involved. If, let's say they walk away, somebody's going to take that sign down. I know there's a deposit, but it might be more than that. I'd raise the fees.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. All right, any other audience or comments from the public? I'm making sure. All right, thanks. So I will move to close the public hearing on the rules. All right, do we have to close it by motion, right? Okay, so, all right, I guess we have to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the public hearing will say it's been closed. Council, this is when we would have, is there anything you need to tell us, or is this when we would be discussing the merits of what the public has brought up to us, or what's the next step?
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk further about it. In the agenda package is the a set of a fee range, and also a policy about how the district signage procedures would work. So now this would be the opportunity for the board to discuss how they want to approach it, taking into consideration the public's comments and the board's discretion. There's basically 2 things that were both related to the signage policy. The fee ranges, what this public hearing, what this first resolution on your agenda would do is set ranges for 2 fees. One is a license fee, which was mentioned, will be charged every 2 years to the licensee. And the other category of the fee is a removal deposit, where upfront the licensee would be required to put down a deposit to cover the cost of removing their sign whenever they wanted to terminate their license. So you're not setting your fee, your current fee, you're just setting a range, and you can either adopt the range that is in your agenda package, or you could modify it if you desired.
Okay. And as far as language, I guess governing the, the content or the appearance of signs, that we'd be allowed to set out rules for like what could or couldn't be on the signs. Does that need to be part of this, the rules that ultimately get passed? What are and Brittany has a thought too. Microphone. Yep.
If we were to go this route, are we allowed to set a vendor which we require them to order from, or us to order from after they paid us? Because obviously then that, makes for uniformity and et cetera. Are we allowed to have that stipulation where they have to be ordered from a particular vendor? And well, I guess we're getting the money, so we would be making the order, right?
That's a good question. There's a license.
Yeah, I can,
It states in the document that the manager would have preferred vendor used for, say-
Preferred vendor, but can we just make it a requirement? Because we can have a preferred vendor and that still kind of leaves room there for maybe there's leeway. Can we, is it possible for it to be a required
And I
vendor?
think with district council, there would have to be an amendment to this document showing that we're giving a specific vendor privileges for the commercial entity to use for signage. And I may be wrong or right, but please correct me.
yeah, and I'm happy to speak on that. You know, as you know, as we're a governmental entity, you are concerned or you want to be careful about giving exclusive rights or to one particular private party. It starts getting into whether it's, you know, a private activity or private use of public property. So that's why it's written in a way to essentially all of the management of making sure that the signs look good and look uniform and they're not overcrowding or distracting from traffic are it's responsibility of district management to be in control of that. And the language is in there for the preferred vendor is intentional to not create issues with having a exclusive vendor and giving a benefit to a particular private party.
And just so you're aware, Brittany, we do have a couple of vendors that we use with, one in particular that I had conferred with in regards to signage, would be happy to work with said commercial entity to create a sign tailoring to, of course, the stipulations that the district heads for signage, but also that in line with what they're trying to come across for their.
Okay. So then I guess the question would be to Infomark. I mean, looking at this fee, looking at the, it sounds like signage is something that you've maybe done with other districts before, or you're.
So I haven't, although I did like a market research with this a couple of vendors that we have in terms of what the cost, in terms of what the cost would be for signage. And then we made our own assessment from there, and that's where I got the numbers from.
And $500 every 2 years, we think that covers the management time, Infomark handling this. I mean,
yeah, so
judging both these concepts, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Right, exactly.
I would venture to say.
Well,
hello?
Yeah.
Sorry. I would venture to say yes, but with the board's discretion to then, because then this is and correct me if I'm wrong, council, this is a document that can be amended at any point to increase or decrease rates depending on the board's view. Am I correct?
Well, if it's rules, then we need to have a public hearing to do any kind of change to that. So, I mean, if we're talking about doing it, we've got the public hearing, this would be a time to do that.
Yeah,
I'm in
that's
favor
that's
of-
exactly right. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's exactly right. You can change the exact fee that you're imposing in a particular year, but if you want to change the range, then you'd have to go back through the public hearing process. So if you're concerned that it's not enough and you want to raise the max fee on the top of the range, then you can move it up.
Correct. Okay, so I think our thought is, if we want to do this, that we should extend the range now when we're in this rulemaking process. Joseph, do you have thoughts on, I mean, we want this to be, the whole point of doing this is to give some support to the local businesses that we have here that are, they're offset from the street and people driving by might not know, but also not have it be a burden on district management or an eyesore, frankly. So what are your thoughts on, I know you did some market research. We've heard from the public that it should be worth our while, that this sounds like a steal as it is.
Realistically, I would vote, I would say that, yeah, we should increase it. But it's entirely up to the board.
Can I ask you just about the flags that were put out in front that we were trying to determine if we have any jurisdiction over that? I think they're still out there.
No, from what I understand, they were taken down, right? We had discussed it, the flags were taken down.
Oh, yes, I read it.
Yeah, the flags are gone.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I think it's Jones, right?
Yes.
Jones.
okay, so just so I understand, and I guess we don't have, it's already past 8, but so why is Jones allowed to have their flags, but the businesses aren't?
I don't.
I'm not sure about Jones. I know Hardison specifically did come to the board and ask for position or permission to put their signs up for the stuff they're building just inside the west entrance.
Okay.
Jones, that goes back a few more years. I don't know for sure that there was ever such a discussion. And I mean, I know for a fact I don't know if it's CDD property, if that crosses over to the state highway, but there is some very old looking Lakes at Harmony signs that are out there along the highway that,
Yeah.
you know, are.
So do we actually have jurisdiction over that area that we remove them? Like, for example, if the cafe decided, well, I'm putting another one up.
If it's on CDD property, then yes. If it's not, then
Well,
no.
that's what I'm asking. Is
So-
that area where you took the flags down?
I believe so. I'd have to double check. I believe so. But we were just going based off the direction of the board to remove.
Okay. And yes, it does look like the CDD owns that stretch along the highway where the fence was, or still is, I believe, for that stretch. So
So, but just so I understand, Jones or High
Hardison,
Partisan came and asked permission.
Hardison for sure did. Jones, I'm not sure, because that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. Right.
So does that then open the floor for these other businesses to come and make a request to the CDD to put their flags out there?
They could ask, I mean, it would be our discretion to allow, and I'm think that's more what Carol was getting towards, of how involved do we want to be in picking and choosing, or do we have to let everybody, and we, you know, it'd be, not that there are that many businesses that would be wanting to, and I don't think there's anything you could do to stop realtors from putting their open house signs out there every Saturday and everything, but as far as what we're doing right now on the agenda, which would be setting the rules for the tower signs, I think we're in agreement that we want to look at a higher amount to give us the range to make sure it's worthwhile and, I mean, favorable to the businesses that are here, but also not have it be, hey, 5 miles to Rockers Lockers, keep driving. Right. Do we, on the board, do we have any thoughts on how much we would want to increase the range?
We shift it maybe, I'm thinking like maybe $200-300, so maybe like 2 to 7 or 3 to 8. 2 to 7.
1,000 at least, I think, for the ceiling.
At the end of the day, you know, it will produce some revenue, but
Or we just put it really.
It's a range.
Nobody will do, nobody.
It's
will
a
use it.
range. So if we set the range and no one buys it at 1,000, we can say, okay, well,
Right.
within our range, we can change that with our discretion to 400. See if that,
Okay.
so
so do we want to do like 1 through 1,000? 100, does it matter
It-
how big the range is, council?
No, I mean, I guess the only limitation is, you want to set reasonable fees. I know that's kind of vague, but you want to have some justification for your fee, the reason why. So, like district management went out and did some research on what would be the anticipated costs, and that this is at least an early estimate. The board decides they don't feel like it's high enough.
yes.
I think
So Joseph, go ahead.
just one point, and I'm just looking at it that it's every other year, basically. They're paying the fee every 2 years. I mean, from a budgeting perspective, maybe it's easier if you do it every year, just so it's steady. It's not coming every other year.
Okay,
Just an idea.
right. Yeah, and Joseph, you did market research, so what?
Yeah, so based on the information, what I've seen was on a yearly basis, although this was set up as every 2 years or how it's set up. I wanted to increase this. I did speak with Michael Eckert, who did make a good point to me, stating that a lot of these businesses are small. They're not large businesses that can
Right.
afford large amounts to pay for signage.
Right.
So I went on the lower end. However, if it's at the board's,
But
voting.
did you get numbers from like a vendor
Yeah,
of what it
2
would
vendors.
cost?
So, yeah, so it was doubled essentially,
It was,
doubled. The amount was doubled.
oh, okay, with these numbers,
Yeah.
it's already double.
Yeah.
Wow,
Well, how about 100 to 500 annually?
I love that.
Okay.
$500 a year.
I mean, state highway frontage, I mean,
$500
Remodeling
on the
these signs are
side.
gonna be hardly
Probably
any, right?
probably not much, maybe pressure washing, but that's about it.
Okay,
okay, so would that be a motion we need to do to amend the range that's being adopted?
Yeah, I just want to get clarification. The removal deposit range, did you want to keep that as is? It's right now it's 500 to 1,000.
If
So
that,
also, I wanted to ask about that as well. So I did a little more research into it. And I wanted to bring it to this meeting. So in terms of the deposit, it seems as if we're gonna need to increase that as well, only because factoring on the account that putting up these signage or taking them down, regardless of the situation where the tenant leaves or not, it's gonna be a little more than that. The renting of an actual lift is close to or about $1,000. So just to
So,
remove
alright,
it, so the
so-
cost and then factoring it, removing it and all this, it's gonna be a little more.
right, okay, and again, this is just a license fee. This is giving them the permission. They still buy the sign
Yeah.
themselves from the vendor we choose. And so, well, yeah, the installation, we were not providing that. We're just giving them the permission and collecting the money to make sure we have a way to take it off. So, you're saying the lift on its own costs probably $1,000, a trailer lift out here to
For
do
a
that.
basic one, yes.
Right. So just double everything.
That's what I was thinking.
Well,
Okay.
should we add an installation? There should be. an
Well,
installation.
Well, no, so
yeah,
so
the
the
installation,
Cover just removing if they leave and don't remove their sign.
right, this
The
is,
installation is all for the tenant to.
right. They deal with that with the preferred vendor,
Yeah.
or maybe they find someone else. But we, and as long as we, district management has, say in approving whatever sign is proposed, so that we do have control over making sure stuff looks, uniform and all that. Just, we need to basically double up these numbers to make sure the removal is covered and that it's a reasonable return for, I mean, there's this is weighed against the benefit of, potentially getting more traffic into our local businesses here. So
That personally, I don't think it necessarily needs to be a moneymaker for us. Like you said, as long as it's not costing us money, I think that it's it's the right thing to do for the businesses that are, a lot of them are residents here.
Right.
And I think this would help them, but also, I'm sorry, I turned this off. But also, did I understand you correctly when you said they would be responsible for, they're gonna get on a lift and put something on our tower?
well, the sign company would do the installation.
Yeah.
They would get the sign,
okay.
and that sign company, that's their profession. They would take care
So
of
they would submit
installing.
insurance to the district, allowing, coverage for,
Okay, so the signs, I have no idea. So the signs company typically.
so they
come and
fabricate,
install
yeah,
for
so they fabricate the signs based off of the tenant's
Gotcha.
specifications and then install.
Okay.
One last question, just for us to consider with the board. Let's say we do this. Let's say someone takes it and it's just one. Do we consider it an eyesore if there's just one business as a sign and then 3 blank ones?
What
next
about
to
the
it?
locations of it? Do we change the price of the locations if one's pointing east, west, and the other one pointing north?
That's a good point, though, because there's 3 faces of that sign. Are we saying there's 4 slots and then you get to put it's one sign, one license fee?
The way I had looked at it, and I confer with Michael Eckert, so I was thinking just on the way that the entrance is, not just anyone coming out, just the front face of where the sign is.
That makes sense.
So you only see it when you're looking straight on. You don't
You're
see
coming
it
in.
coming or going?
Yeah, no, because then that would, so
There's no
that,
traffic coming back.
that's an additional cost for 2 signs.
Okay, so if they wanted to buy 2 signs, they could buy the east and west.
Then we can't, it's entirely up to you if you want to do that, but I was proposing this in the event, just the front facing of the tower along the state road.
And we're okay with how that might look.
Yeah,
I want to make sure we're
If you're facing
visualizing
the tower
before we,
From the road where the entrance is, just those 4 squares.
But
I
the
think
thing
I think
is
we
that
should
if
probably
you're
table
driving
this.
on in
I-
either direction, you're not necessarily looking at that head on unless you're turning into the neighborhood.
one last question for council. If we have this public hearing we just had, we took this feedback. There's nothing stopping us from setting this rule and just never doing anything with it, right? Or if we approve this, are we then, we've made this a public rule, and if someone comes to us, then we have to honor that?
No, it's completely discretionary whether you want to allow a sign to be set up or for the district managers given the authority to decide what signs go up, the number of signs, and with the goal of maintaining the aesthetics of the community. So,
Okay.
yeah, this is
So-
your policy. Yeah.
Right, so I'm fine, just across the board, cut the fee to annually double up the removal deposit, and we don't have to take any action on this. We can solicit more resident feedback, maybe the business owners want it, but every single resident we talk to thinks it will be tacky, we don't have to, this doesn't bind us to putting signs up there, but it sets a rule. So if we decide to, we at least have a framework and a fair pricing structure to do so. I move to adopt these rules with the change of the license fee being the same amount but annual, and the removal deposit being $1,000 to $2,000. Brittany is seconded. Council, is that everything covered in a motion to make changes to an adoption of these rules?
And I just want to clarify, there's two resolutions in the agenda. One's for the fees. The second is the actually terms of the policy of how the process would work out, with district manager being responsible for, like we said, coordinating all of this. If you could do one motion to approve both, I just want to get clarity if that's the intent.
No, I'll amend my motion if the second, so I would move to adopt resolution 2025-06, setting the fees with the change that the license fee, which doesn't say in the actual text of the resolution, but make sure that is annually $100 to $500, and the removal deposit is now $1,000 to $2,000. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt that first resolution setting the pricing structure for this rule. All in favor?
Just want to clarify that if we do approve this, we have to vote on allowing any shop or.
Each sign.
Well, we're giving the district manager the discretion to be doing
Oh, we're
that,
giving-
which, I mean, I think for, that would be incumbent on them to, have a, we want to be informed about this, and
We have no say after this.
So,
Oh, is that what we're agreeing to?
the terms are right here, Joseph.
so what I can do is, based off of anyone presenting the possibility of putting up their own sign, I can bring this to the board and the board vote yay or nay, whether they allow the sign or not.
That's not in the verbiage, right?
Do you want?
No,
to-
that's not. Yeah, it's not how it's written, but it's obviously within the board's discretion if you want more reporting on it, or if you want to discuss these ahead of time. The intent is to take it out of your hands and have you not have to worry about the day to day. But obviously, all staff works at the discretion of the board. So if you would like more
I think the
input
issue-
in it, you can.
Yeah, I think the issue here is that this is a fairly visible and a lot of people may have opinions on this, and we're still filling this out and maybe aren't 100% on board with let's throw signs up there right now. But we've talked about enough in the past. We decided to have the rules hearing right now, so we have a motion on the table to accept the fee structure as amended. We have a motion in favor. So is there any other discussion?
So we're just agreeing to the fees. We're not agreeing to the.
Right. We can maybe do an amendment to
That's the other-
policy. Yes, in
the
the
other
next resolution. That will be the next motion.
Okay.
But
All right.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right, so Supervisor Julie in opposition, but the motion carries. I would move that we adopt resolution 2025-07 with the amendment that the district manager
Board vote.
yeah, include bring proposed signs before the board due to the highly visible nature of this, and give us a chance to make sure that we're not making every resident angry at us, and ask council to make that with a proper verbiage to make sure the board is included in that decision. Right. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Okay. So with 3 votes in the affirmative, the motion carries. Or maybe
For the signage. I mean, he's already doing everything else on here.
okay. Well,
What's your vote?
that's okay. She can
I just
abstain.
wanted to make
Yeah.
sure she understood what.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she abstained. That's fine. All right. So next.
I'm
district
sorry to
council-
be, just sorry to be a stickler. basically board members have to vote either yes or no, or abstain if you had some sort of conflict or of interest.
Okay, so you do have to vote, Julie, is what he's saying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so motion carries 4-0. That's why we have you here, so thank you. All right, next.
I apologize for being kind of nitpicky on that. The last thing, and you do not have to decide tonight if you do not want to, but you can choose your exact fee, your current fee, from within the range, and if you would like to do that tonight, if someone came to district manager tomorrow and said, here's a proposal for a sign, then he would be able to say, okay, the current fee is this amount. You can change that in the future. But if you want to set your current fee right now, that would need to do that by motion.
Okay, well, I would move for now to start the fee at the top end of the range at 500 annually.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Seconded by Brittany. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Julie votes in opposition. But we've set the fee, we've set the range, we've set the rules. The board will be involved in any kind of signage discussion. I think we can put that to bed. Council, anything else?
Sorry, just clarification. That was you're setting at the top of the range for both the deposit and the license fee, right?
Yeah, sorry, I was not clear on that, but yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's it. I appreciate your patience with that. And that's all I have to report tonight, but happy to answer any questions or bring anything back to Mike.
Okay, I see another item on here, but I mean, it's getting late. We can maybe table that discussion.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay.
I agree. I think that's important. We should have time to.
Okay, yeah, all right. No, yes, so district manager would be next. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Sure.
Microphone.
In the sake of time, I don't have anything.
Okay, yeah. All right, next, I'm not sure if, was that Ryan that was on the line? The next item is we have a presentation by MBS Capital, which would be a alternative, I guess, underwriter for doing a bond refinance. Were you able to connect on Zoom?
Yes, I sure can. It's Brett Seeley, managing partner with MBS Capital Markets. Appreciate that it was nice meeting you briefly, and thank you for allowing me to join by phone. We were asked by Mr. Gonzalez to provide information regarding the potential refinancing of the district's two outstanding series of bonds. Within your agenda package is information regarding a potential refinancing. I'm certain that you all have had an opportunity to review it, so I will be brief as it relates to the commercial on the firm. But MBS Capital Markets is an investment banking firm specializing solely in special tax district finance. Over the course of the last 30 years, we've completed about 1,300 transactions, about $16.5 billion for 500 community development districts in Florida. Within that experience, just in the last 15 years, we've completed over 200 refinancings north of $2 billion. I'll pause for a moment and see if the board has any questions as it relates to my firm's experience before moving on to the rest of the information in the presentation.
My only question would be, has your firm worked with our management firm specifically in the past?
Yes, we have worked with Infomark on a number of financings in the state.
Okay, can you tell us the most recent?
The most current deal that we're working on right now would be Celebration, where we have served as the investment banker there for 25 years.
Okay. Anyone else have questions for the first part of his presentation?
I guess I do. They're pretty high level. I think the two biggest concerns that we had with the other company was the fact that we would basically be like locked in. If the rates change, we're kind of stuck with that higher rate. Is that standard? So is that the same with you guys?
So as you walk through the presentation, and I'm driving, so I apologize that I'm not able to pull it up, but I will do my best to walk you through it. The initial component of the presentation, following our experience slide, provides for information regarding your outstanding series of bonds, which I believe that you all are familiar with, both generally and as well as a result of the presentation that was given by FMS. Both series of bonds can be refunded, and there are two primary paths to proceed with a refinancing. And that would be on the next slide, following the detail of the overview of the outstanding series of bonds. There are two paths. One is a direct bank private placement, in which a credit package would be prepared. It would be sent out to a dozen or 15 different banks, and they would provide term sheets for the purpose of a direct bank placement to one of those banks. The other is a limited public offering, in which an offering document would be prepared, and bonds would be marketed to various institutional and high net worth investors. The primary difference between the two processes is that one is a direct bank private placement, where we are seeking term sheets in order to ensure that the best rates and terms are achieved. And the other is a mailing of an offering document and going out to the market and publicly offering the bonds. On the bank private placement side, we are experienced very recently, including with a number of refinancings, including one that is closing on Monday. The banks have within their term sheets provided for the bonds to be called or optionally callable in 5 years. So the bank private placement route does provide for the possibility to refinance bonds again in the future. Now, one thing to take into consideration here is the shorter duration, specifically of one of the series of bonds. Maturity is 2032. The other, I believe, is 2036. As you get closer to that final maturity date, it does become more difficult to make the economics of a refinancing work. Right. But on the private placement side, we have had more success in structuring deals that have 5-year call provisions.
Okay. Board, do we have any questions specifically on that?
So what if interest rates went up after we picked one of these options? Where would we stand with the different options that you just kind of described?
If interest rates went up after you closed the refinancing? Right. So in either scenario, the interest rates would be fixed through the maturity date of the bonds, correct? Neither of those scenarios would be variable rate. They'd both be fixed rate.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we had provided, I know there were a number of questions that were asked. I know that was one of them, but the intent of that Q&A was not just us pulling questions out of the air. They were questions, I believe, that had been forwarded that were for which, specific clarification was being provided. So we went ahead and detailed those responses. Some of them were specifically as it related to the use of the debt service reserve fund, what would happen in a refinancing, what would happen if it weren't refinanced. But as you can see from the numbers, and probably the key part of this is looking at net present value savings, which gives you an indication that really the reduction in annual debt service for both the refinancing of the 2014 and 2015 bonds is primarily coming from the release of funds in the existing trust estates. specifically surplus revenue account funds, as well as the debt service reserve fund, which, you will obtain direction from counsel on, as I am not a lawyer, but based upon our read of the documents, those funds, specifically the surplus and the revenue account, as well as the debt service reserve fund, are going to remain within the trust estate until the bonds mature. The only way to unlock them is through a refinancing. So, while general governments will look at cities and counties, will look at a benchmark net present value savings in the 3 to 5% range to make a determination as to whether or not they're going to undertake a refinancing. In this case, the net present value savings are nominal or negative, but because of the unlocking of those funds, a refinancing is creating a reduction in annual debt service.
All right. Did you have any other thoughts or things you want us to be aware of to make our decision?
No, other than that, the way that we approach refinancings is that we pursue all options to make sure that we're achieving the best economic result for the board. So what you've got in front of you is the two options that we would propose to pursue. We have had more luck in terms of generating slightly greater economic benefit going the bank private placement route as opposed to going the limited public offering route. And that's evidenced by recent transactions that we have completed comparative to the economic results of going to the limited public offering market. Having said that, markets remain volatile. You all are aware of that. That's why our approach is always to pursue multiple options in order to be able to ensure that what we're bringing back to the board creates the best economic result.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the board? All right. Thank you very much. I think we want to have a little bit more discussion here, but I'll appreciate you coming here, and I'm sorry we couldn't get to you sooner, but really appreciate the all the information and your explanation on these. I think I have any follow-up. Do we don't have any other follow-up questions? Okay. All right.
No, I was just gonna say, Brett and Dylan, thank you for coming. I think you let the board deliberate on what they want to do, and then we'll get back to you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Terrific. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Drive safe.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. And then was there anyone from FMS that was on to follow up?
Yes, sir. Hi, Dylan Schwartz. I am on the line. I spoke with you guys last month.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you again for your time. A quick follow-up to our last discussion. We provided specific projections as to where we thought the interest rates would be. And the markets have moved a bit up and down. As Mr. Seeley said before me, markets have remained a bit volatile. But they are kind of chopping up and down in a range. And we still think we can get roughly the same savings that we did in our last presentation that we showed you. So roughly north of 14% to 15% range on the 1 series, on the 2014 bonds, and the 2015 bonds just around 11%. If anybody has any questions to follow up on us and our firm, or how we handle our business, or the route that we choose to go on in comparison to the presentation that was just provided by MBS, I'm happy to answer any questions.
No, well, this is the same one that gives the original proposal a month ago.
Yeah, that was the first
Yes.
company. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Would you still like to deliberate with either option and then come to the next meeting with a potential answer?
Well, the question, I guess, I think there's some urgency in that we have our, budget workshop next month, but we need to be, finalizing that. And if we're, that's a pretty major issue if we are, doing one of these refinances and then able to, say, claw back or maintain, resident fees and, offset, O&M issues.
To that point, the last discussion we had last month is that there is a bit of a deadline to reach your property tax appraiser in order to get on the tax roll to lower your assessments in order to meet the November tax bill to get those savings. And if you have a budget hearing coming up, it's a good time to begin your deliberations. I would also say that there's been a bit of a trend in the markets recently of rates have started to go higher. So I would say now is as good a time as ever to lock in your savings, regardless of which firm you decide to go with. Again, our firm is the leading underwriter in the state for CDDs. We handle about 75% of the CDD business in the state of Florida. And we handled the original bonds in 2014 and 2015, and we work with the Harmony West CDD as well for their last 3 bond issuances over the last 3 years. And our firm has a very large amount of equity capital that we're able to take in these bonds. We have a secondary market trading team that provides liquidity in the secondary market, which other firms who operate in the CDD space do not have. This gives us better pricing power when we bring new deals to the market, such as this one. And it's somewhat of part of the reason why we have such a large market share in the state. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I'll let you guys deliberate. I can hop off the phone and let you make your decisions.
Let's see. As far as, where to go? The way you have your fees structured, that was you gave us the summary amounts, and could you give us just like a little more in the background on like what your fees cover and that are pulled out at the time of the transaction?
Yes. So there are, as I mentioned in the last presentation, there's a number of professionals that need to prepare different documents in association with a bond underwriting. So district council has their own fee. There's a bond attorney that prepares an indenture. That same attorney also typically prepares what is called the prospectus. It's a marketing document in order to market the bonds to prospective investors. And Infomark as well prepares a special assessment methodology report, which allocates the debt and shows the savings on an annual basis from unit to unit, depending on home size and whatnot, the lot width. There's a trustee that currently is holding the trust account for the current bonds, and in order to set up all the accounting for the new bonds and transfer the money from the old accounts to the new accounts, they have a one-time fee as well that they charge associated with that. As I mentioned before, typically these costs range in the $150,000 to $170,000 ballpark. Those are fees that pay for their time. It comes out of the bond proceeds or out of the financing. Everybody aside from district council works contingent on the bond closing. District council charges you guys by their hours. So there's no out-of-pocket cost to you guys in association with that work. If the transaction for whatever reason does not occur or does not happen, there's no hard feelings. We can hold on to the documents for a later date. Let's say if rates go up and we can wait for them to go down in a few months' time. Otherwise, if for whatever reason you decide not to proceed at the next meeting, when we adopt that resolution, that would be in earnest, having us go to market. That next resolution at the next meeting would be the one where you would officially give us authority to delegate on your behalf and negotiate the interest rate for you. If for whatever reason you decide not to pass that resolution at the next meeting or it doesn't work, there's no cost associated with that. Our fee, FMS, is 1.5% of the principal amount of bonds or a loan that we underwrite. That's a relatively industry standard fee for refinancing. And that's, I think, the long and the short of the fees. There's no hidden costs or anything like that. I mean, all the fees that I mentioned are the ones that you would see. You have the opportunity to save pretty well on costs, since you have two different series of bonds which are refinanceable at the same time. Typically, that $150,000, those are fixed costs, or 150 to 175, depending on some deals. This one, since it's a refi, I would imagine it would be on the lower side. Since that's sometimes we're doing a $1.8 million refinancing, for example, next week. And the costs are still $150,000. So to split that $150,000 or so of fixed issuance costs across two different series of bonds that total $9 million in principal, you're able to really take advantage of the savings, because in a transaction such as a refinancing, your fixed issuance costs are really what kind of hit the bottom line the most in terms of generating savings. So you guys are in a good position right now, since you have two.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dylan. Thank you. Do we have any other questions as a board for, sorry, FMS? All right, we'll let you go, Dylan. We'll discuss here, and district management will be in touch if we go that direction. Thank you very much for all the information.
Sounds like a plan. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks. Okay. What are we thinking? I mean, I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear everyone else's as well.
You go first.
Sure, I'll go first. I would tend to favor FMS based on looking at both the proposals. They have the history here working with these exact original issuance and original refinance of both of these bonds. So this is all known territory. I think that was a satisfactory discussion of what all the fees are. The risk to us is we'd have to instruct council to start working with them, and that would immediately start the clock, and we would lose that if something fell through and the refinance didn't close. But all of the other costs are only borne when it closes and come out of the proceeds. So the net of that is the lower bond assessment for all residents, potentially on this immediate budget year, that fiscal year starting in October.
So where do the fees come from, though? How do we pay for those?
Well, it comes out of the
Money that we're gonna
right,
access.
the proceeds of the refinance. They get their 1% fee, the 150 for those other fixed costs come out of that, and then the rest, Infomark, or I guess so that'd be bond counsel, works out how it distributes fairly to each resident based on the different amounts. But that would be a lower we've refinancing at this lower rate, so the amount for paying off each year would immediately go down for each resident. Yeah, yes, if we had some magical way to do it without those fees, there would be more proceeds, but maybe that's typical that those closing costs and everything come out of it. And I would propose, again, we've been very patient. Do we have any problem opening the floor to maybe hear more from a resident who's been waiting very patiently and give some great feedback? Thank you, Joe.
I want to answer your question. I don't know if you answered it right. Yeah, the difference is, if you look at the reserve funds, the amount that they're going to give back to us or put into lowering the amount of the bond is not equal the total amount that if you added the two numbers, they don't equal. So their fees are taken out of that piece of the reserve. Remember, original reserve funds were, they're saying they're saving 607, but the original reserve funds, where are they? No, they're in here. They're short by that amount. They basically take them out of what they're saying.
Right, they don't, in this tablature, they don't show their fee is 1.5%. They give us the savings as the net, and
Right.
they've pulled their savings,
Yeah.
their fee out from.
So there's nothing out of your pocket. What it is if they're saying that we have 100,000 in reserves right now, but when we're done, we only have 50,000. Okay, and they have 10,000 in fees. What we're gonna save is 40,000. Okay, that's what's gonna come off the top and lower the amount that either goes to the bonds, or if you guys choose to take that money to spend it on other projects. So it's no money in your pocket, it's money.
Right. We didn't have any.
Just so I understand, I understood this as it's not, the refi wouldn't add any time to the end of the bond, right? And, it would essentially give us, obviously at a cost, but it would essentially just be giving us access to this money that's already there, right? That reserve money would be giving us access to that. And then we could, just like in super layman's terms, to make sure I'm getting this correctly, and then we would decide, are we putting that right back to pay off the bonds and lower everybody's CDD bill? Or are we taking that money and adding an amenity or project?
I mean,
am I understanding that correctly?
well, yeah, so refinancing a loan, the old one gets closed, we open up a new one, and we have the proceeds from that loan that, yes, we have say over what happens to those proceeds.
Board, this is Ryan. I just want to chime in there and Dylan went over the different professionals that are involved, and bond counsel would be the person to speak to about how the restrictions on the use of the funds that are set up in, for example, the reserve fund. But my understanding is that money is not money that's going to just go back to the general funds of the district with unrestricted use. The restriction on that use of funds is typically it has to be used to pay down and to refund the bonds. So that reserve money would either stay into the trust accounts with the bonds, or it would be used to reduce the outstanding debt. So it would be used to lower eventually the debt assessments that your residents are paying, but it wouldn't be money that just became available to the board to use for other projects.
I mean,
and I can follow up with with bond counsel for your existing bonds to confirm that if that's the direction, but that's my general understanding.
Okay, well, I'd say we've certainly heard differently. We've had the idea of bonds being used for a specific example here was there was a property maintenance facility within the community that was available for sale, and it was like several $1 million. The idea was floated of maybe not a refinance being used, but of a bond being issued to cover a large capital outlay or a specific project. So I understand you said that's not something we can just take that amount and dump it into general funds and use it for whatever we want. But if there were like specific large capital projects, repaving, something, construction of a facility, something specific like that, would there be any issue with using the bond refinance disbursement for a specific purpose like that? Subject to
that's a good distinction. If we're just talking about the refunding where we're trying to get a lower interest rate, that's one approach. What you're talking about is using these funds for project specific purposes. And if the bonds were issued, say, to fund the roadways, and you had that money in your bond, in certain of the bond accounts, you can use them for roadway projects that you have. It really would depend specifically on what the bonds were originally issued for, and the language in the trust indenture. And if you had a particular project that you wanted to use money on, I'm not sure if Mike has done this, but we can run through the analysis of seeing if currently your funds are eligible to use it on that project.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from that is it's an option that's on the table, but that kind of language would have to be included through the workings of council and or bond council with the underwriter doing the refinance. I'll jump right to my personal thoughts. I don't want anything to do with that. When we've done projects, they've been out of our reserves that we set from O&M. In the past, when we did this refinance, I believe it was just a clean refinance and it went completely to paying down the bond and lowering those assessments, which practically speaking, you could offset that. So, it could, right. And in the past, yes, the fee was the same, but the bond was refinanced and that allowed the O&M to be raised because O&M, there's for many reasons, O&M kind of always has to go up a little bit. There's inflation, there's wear and tear. There's right. But my thought is, it also sounds like maybe that simplifies the process. If we're just rolling this bond refinance into paying off the bond and just taking those savings to the residents paying it off. Right. I mean, we could use that right. We could still increase our O&M budget by, say, an inflationary amount this year. And that would still be a savings that residents would see because they'd have this, bond refinance savings that would, offset that. And, say that could counteract, several years of inflationary increases for O&M. And then if we do have a big project, like, we did the repaving out of O&M, we didn't need to do a bond issue we don't have any projects that are so big that we need to issue a bond to do that. So my thought is, it seems like it's the most straightforward way to do it is just to do the refinance and roll it into lowering the bond assessments for
I
everyone.
just feel completely lost right now because last month, essentially the way it was proposed is we could take those 11 to 14% savings, which I think worked out to like $150 per home on average in Harmony to lower the rate, or we could unlock $1.1 million for a new amenity. That was part of the conversation last week.
Yeah.
But now
Well, it sounds like that could be done, but that has to be included in the language of the bond that, it's being used for a specific capital project. When they were first issued in the first place, it was for building roads, sewers, all the, infrastructure.
Right.
So it sounds like it's a possible use of those, the bond, disbursement, but it would have to be included in the language. And the person who is lending the money for the bond has to be on board with its use.
understood. Okay, I understand.
So yes, it's possible, but it seems to me, and council or if someone else speak up to correct me, but it seems like it would be a more straightforward and simplified process if we're just rolling those, the funds from the refinance into paying down the bonds. And that results in a lower fee for the users. That can offset O&M it's a separate issue and we can fund projects out of our general fund like we've always done.
I can agree that it'll probably be simpler. I would say that maybe it would be good to get some resident feedback. As far as, we'll make the call here, like, are we gonna refi, are we gonna not? But then what are we gonna do with that? I think it would make sense to get some resident feedback.
I would counter that. I put this proposal in the Harmony magazine. We all went on there, some of us did, Facebook posts. I would rather get this into this current budget year. And again, the way we were able to do large 6-digit projects out of our general fund when they need to be done. We have, yes, we increased the amount we're contributing to reserves, but as a result, we have a healthy cushion right now that we're not out. I don't think use the phrase again, the juice is worth the squeeze of all that additional work that would be added to this refinance to pull it out where it would need to be allocated for something. I mean, we have maybe a pavement project that David has said might need to happen in the next year or so, but we don't have something that's sitting right now with a price tag that's, we do have the construction of the maintenance facility, which yes, but we've already set aside and we have that in the availability for that in the reserve right now. So I would rather get this savings to the residents for this upcoming budget year and just have the choice be which of these firms do we go with versus trying to get an amount out for some specific project that would require additional bond language.
Yeah, respectfully disagree. I would love.
I
to get
mean, you
residents
can ask the residents, but half the people probably don't understand what we're doing. and
Well, it's.
You're not gonna get, you're not gonna get finance people that, across the board.
No,
gonna
you're
get
not, but these people are all paying into the CDD.
Right,
And
and
so,
we're on the board to make the executive decision. That's what our job is for.
for sure,
Yeah,
for
and-
sure. But based on, I think, I work for the residents. So I like to hear directly from them. Hey, you voted me to represent you. I want to hear what you want to do. Not that they're financial experts, of course not. I'm not a financial expert and here I am sitting. But you can explain, you can take a couple minutes to explain, hey, here's one option, here's the other. What do you rather? And that's not saying that we have to go with that, but I think taking the resident feedback into account.
If
is
they really cared, they would be here and they are here.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, not to put words in your mouth, but it seems like a good idea, but to roll it into the payoff versus try and take it out for some specific project. Is that a good summary of your?
That's my.
Yes, that is Joe's opinion. I've talked to him via email. I hear it and I love that. I told him, thank you for that feedback. I need that feedback so that I could vote according to what the residents want.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that Joe is one person. I'd love to get more feedback.
Okay, well,
But right now, are we just deciding on which company or, well, no, because we have to have the.
if we want it to be in this budget year, it sounds like we need to make a decision tonight. So I've done a lot of talking, you've done a lot of talking. Julie, Lucas, do you have thoughts on a preference of one of these over the other, or in general wanting to do it versus?
Like when they were, his like rebuttaling, I did compare, they made the both seem about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, but I agree with you with the FMS.
FMS is the first one, yep.
And I also like the fact that, to roll it back in and pay the bond down, I mean.
Yeah, and one of the guys said that, interest rates are going up, they could go up, they could go down. But if they keep going up, then the chances of refinancing is gonna go down and the savings is gonna go down, so. If,
Right.
And we need to make a decision if we're gonna incorporate this into our next budget, so I think. We should probably vote on something tonight.
All right, I would move to, and council, please chime in if I need to alter my language, but I would move that we direct council and district management to engage with FMS on their refinance proposal for the 2014 and 2015 series bonds as presented to us last month. And that those funds be used to the entirety of those funds be used for reducing resident payback of those bonds. That language? Yes, the refinance just to reduce the payments.
Do I second that? You can second that.
Should be to reduce the outstanding balance.
Yes, yes, refinancing the balance to, yes, yeah. Is council happy with that language?
That works for me.
And we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Brittany in opposition, but the motion carries. Thank you, everyone that has provided all the input on this and stuck with us. And hope we're making a good choice here. I appreciate all the work and hopefully that should all be worked into our final budget proposal, which if you remember from 4 hours ago now, that we have our own homework in front of us on going through our budget and our actuals and make sure we have, yeah. Street sweepers to buy, no. Next,
Sorry.
Oh, absolutely, I want table signs. We discussed the sod damage.
Sorry, Dan, sorry.
Yes.
Can we move to just get the chat flow 360 AI ahead of everything else?
Well, I mean, we discussed everything else. We discussed the sod, the leaf. We're not discussing
Item D,
security
we can't- yeah,
systems,
item D,
right?
we
That
can't-
would
item
be it.
E, we can't either.
Right.
So
So I think we'll have a shade session in a future meeting to discuss security issues.
I just a question about that. It's not necessarily about placement or anything like that, but. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so that discussion needs to be in a shade session with council there.
I checked with Joseph beforehand, but you said you spoke to the attorney and you said I could absolutely ask my question so long as I'm not discussing placement, surveillance, et cetera. I could bring up my point.
Well, according to what he had mentioned to me was you can ask the question, but the board cannot discuss it. I cannot.
The specifics of,
Yeah.
so like placements,
I don't have any
dollar
specifics.
amounts.
I just have a concern that I think we need to discuss.
Okay, can we get to that? Is that on one of these business items?
Yeah.
It's item D.
Okay,
No, it's, nope, it's item E.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, well, I guess it's kind of a mix of both.
okay.
Do you?
I mean, let's, yeah, let's,
I mean, I can get to it, I can get there quickly, but I think it's an urgent matter, so I will. take
Well, if we
a
can't
second.
really talk about it, I don't know how we're gonna
Well,
find a solution, so.
Okay.
well, if it's a question you want to ask,
Hold on, sorry, before we get into this, can I ask council, given the agenda in front of you and the items listed on the agenda, are we allowed, or is the board allowed to discuss these topics?
Well, I don't need to discuss, I just need to say something.
Okay, so, sorry, are the board members allowed to speak on this outside of a shade session?
or what are the restrictions on what we can speak on the subject of security cameras here in the public meeting?
Yeah, I think generally I would agree that you'd want to not speak or discuss matters that could potentially raise or highlight safety concerns or anything that relates to the security or safety of the community. So even if it's not just a full discussion, even if the question might raise something out, without knowing what the question is, that would be
Right.
my initial thought would be to err on the side of caution and not discuss it.
Right, and correct me if I'm wrong, the letter, but also the spirit of the law is to just protect. We have open, everything has to be out in public and documented and records available to anyone that requests them. But that's a vulnerability if we're talking about, security systems and
Or
whether.
issues that happened.
Right, or problems with security systems. So I think that is, we absolutely need to discuss that, but it needs to be in a shade session, which I think we can have time for next month.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And honestly, if there is a concern that you want to raise to district management or district council, that doesn't have to happen during a meeting, and an individual board member can reach out to staff and we'd be happy to talk about it.
The issue is that I have reached out to district management and we've gotten no resolution. So this is my only opportunity to talk to the board about it or to bring it up to the board. I've gotten no resolution elsewhere.
Have you reached out to council?
I've reached out to district manager.
Okay, yes, and in general, right, in general, we want questions to council or to district engineer to go through district management, but it's absolutely our right as board members if we feel we're not getting a satisfactory answer from.
But, I didn't even know that that was an option. And I would think that we should be able to count on district manager and say, hey, you know what? We've gotten nowhere with this. You've gotten nowhere with this. I've gotten nowhere with this. Let's bring it to council. And so just brings me back to I think we need a little bit more accountability in terms of our management company. And that's something that us as a board really need to stress here.
All right, so on the topic of that, sounds like we're gonna have the budget stuff happening next month, but it's important. We absolutely need to discuss and come to a conclusion on some of these issues, but it has to be in a shade session to make sure we're protected. As far as the chat flow, again, it's 9 PM. Joseph okay, you're here and you've been, okay,
You guys are having, so it's like a savior.
please have a seat and introduce yourself for the record.
Waited a long time.
You. Here, and I'm sorry I don't have more, but
Sorry.
I'm gonna read it out. So my name is Oz Mendez. I'm with Chatflow 360. And from what I was listening, you guys are having a lot of communication issues.
Yeah.
With residents and maintenance and boats and so forth and so on. And this AI is going to solve your issue. So it's a 24/7 answering service that integrates with your website. So it will even help residents when they visit the website, navigate the website, answer any questions that they might have or anything like that. It will do all customer service, all customer support, meaning any questions that any resident have, they don't have to chase around, send an email, wait 3, 4, 5 days to receive a reply back. They're gonna get a reply back from a human voice AI answering service. Is gonna know everything that has ever been published and everything that's on your website and whatever information that you want added to that. Additionally, we're offering upgrades weekly. So meaning like, let's suppose you guys are having the boat issue where two of the boats are not available, right? So we would have been able to put it in and anybody calls, oh, it will be able to book the boat for them, let them know what's available, what's not available, and when will be available, yada, yada, yada. So it's like speaking to a live person. Imagine your residents having actual communication with someone on a 24/7 basis for whatever issue that they have, being able to give them, I love the word you mentioned, consistency. So consistency is a big part. And they're gonna be happy and you guys are gonna be happy because it's gonna be less headaches.
So this says integration with CRM and calendar scheduling. We don't have a CRM.
Yeah, you guys don't have a CRM, but you guys do have a bookings calendar for your boat. And you guys have, I think that's the only one, right?
Yeah.
The booking calendar for the boat. And as far as your CRM question, I already called my tech guy. And what we could do is on the other end, while this is functioning and working, we could select the best CRM that would fit your particular situation and give you guys the support in other, like the IT support and help you guys navigate it and learn it, etc. If that's something that you guys,
Love that idea. We've had other options presented to us. My issue lies with us taking on that cost.
Right.
And
so my cost for the AI answering service, I was sitting down to talking with him and I'm saying, I'm giving these guys a present. I'm like giving it away. This is actually minimum $1 a minute and I'm giving you unlimited minutes for $800 a month, plus the onboarding fee, which is $250. Any virtual assistant anywhere, you're gonna be paying $2 to $3 for virtual assistant. We're just gonna have the language barrier or anything like that. They're not gonna be consistent. And they're not going to be available 24/7 like this system is. And I actually even set up, give me a second. I don't know how well we're going to be able to listen to it, but maybe, because I set up a short demo.
You work with government entities before?
With this project,
Yeah.
no. Not with government entities, but we've already started to pitch it to Jackie Espinosa, the commissioner for Kissimmee, because their city hall thing is like, you get on the phone, you don't get nobody.
So are there, you talk about the, proposal, are there, deployed for some companies or examples of this that we could, see there?
No, I'm gonna show you a sample for here. Okay, because we have other companies, the Wave Hotel, Lake Nona Wave Hotel, they have it. They're using it.
So is this an app? Or
No, it's not a web, it's not a website, it's an answering server that integrates with your website. So when a resident goes into your website, that bot will also pop up in the website where they can speak to it. And it can help them navigate the website because your website is not that easily, it's not that user.
so they would use our website and then this would, I understand the boat reservation system, it'll sync with the calendar, but what about things like, access card requests?
All of that.
So
So it could do the access card request form and send it to the appropriate person, the email, the notification, pop, to whoever it needs to go to.
Love it.
If there's an issue with maintenance or anything, the email will go directly to the gentleman that belongs.
So it would still be in form of an email though.
Well,
My question is, if we don't have a CRM,
right.
so all these requests are automated, that sounds great. How are we tracking them? How are we holding?
Well,
ourselves
it will
accountable?
be via email for right now because you don't have a CRM. So I'm offering a solution to your CRM situation, which while we get this rolling and active and working and everybody's, you're gonna feel the, it's gonna be less stress and your residents are gonna feel like they have more support from the whole community. We can work on your CRM. There's a bunch of CRMs. There's Soho, Zapier, Salesforce, you name it. Right? So what we would do is that we will find the one that will best fit
Right,
for this
that's the
community.
issue. The issue is more the cost of that and us having to absorb that. And while I think this is great, it takes away like, I have a couple of requests that I've sent to the field service team this week for access card requests or last week, right? And because I put those requests in, I know that they exist. So if I've not heard back in a week, I could just send an email like, hey, did we get to this? Whereas where's the checks and balance here? Like, it's great that it'll send out that email, but how do we track that?
Is
You
there
have an email.
Well,
Well, no, but I'm already sending an email and I'm having to follow up still.
is there any additional, I guess, reporting capability on, say, whoever's administering this? Would it be possible to, here's a list of all the maintenance requests that were sent in that,
What I'm saying to you is that we can streamline it and we can have all of the maintenance requests go to as many emails or as many calendars or as many CRMs, but you guys don't have a CRM. So we have to work with what you have. And the only thing that you have is the email availability right now. So we will work through that. Where all of the requests that come in, the system will be able to differentiate, be able to grab, track, like let's suppose you're calling about a sprinkler. And it will fill out that service report
Right,
and
I
it
get that
will
part.
send it out to the appropriate person. If you're having another issue with whatever. And it will
Well, I
do
think
a
the
specific.
question is more, can we get, say, a weekly report of, hey, these are all the requests that came in this week? So there's this checks and balance system ensuring that, yeah, the emails were sent out great, but they were also taken care of. Because otherwise we're kind of in the same boat as we are right now.
So for example, you get a request and we know that, field service requests go to this email. Could it also maybe be added to a Google document or something that would give us at least some kind of record that
Absolutely.
could be, used by the
Absolutely.
board, for example, for. following up
Absolutely.
with-
It could be integrated with anything.
Or
We're
even
basically
if
any.
we somehow created a separate email that at least then, we don't have a CRM, which I think is a huge problem, but at the very least, all of these requests are going to one place where we can go and look at.
Yeah, that would be very easy to set up just a regular email that everyone can check, I am assuming, right? And whatever it sends out to the appropriate departments, it would also send
That
there.
certainly does make it more intriguing, for me.
All right, I'm gonna be the stick in the mud. If someone coming to our website, they're asking your window, what are the rules for people taking out canoes on Buck Lake? And this gives them an answer. It's a question for council, actually. Is that we're providing communication that is now subject to record keeping requirements or something? Is there going to be any issue from a legal standpoint of us having this wrapper added to our website for residents? I mean, they're pulling information from the website. We're not, I don't think we're doing any.
Let me clarify something real quickly, right? So it will integrate with your website. So anyone that's using the website can have access to the bot and it would help them navigate the website, answer any questions, do the whole works, right? But the ideal thing would be to have a phone number so that people can talk on the phone instead of, not everybody has like, time to sit on down. And
So does this
easier.
does
Yes.
this amount also include a phone number that could be?
Yes.
Okay.
It can include the phone number. as
All right,
well.
because I know, for example, we have Zoom meetings, but we have to have comments turned off because that would count as it's a type of communication from a government body. So there would be a bunch of record keeping requirements that it would be subject to. So that's, I mean, the cost I think is small enough that yes, we can say that this maybe should be borne. This is stuff that Infomart could be managing better on their own, but it's a pretty small cost. And my hesitation is just making sure that everything passes legal muster, that we're not crossing some this is, you know, a form of government communication that is subject to all of Florida's public records laws. That's my only thought.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We would have to look at it and understand a little bit more about the flow of communications. If the AI software is essentially just putting the resident in touch with a person, or if it's actually giving out information and answering questions, then yeah, it does become a public record concern.
Right. Okay.
Can I play a demo real quick for you?
Let's hear it. What's that?
Yeah, 15 minutes ago.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're
The Harmony of Vibrant and Caring Community. I'm Sylvia. How can I assist you today?
Sylvia, I want to book a boat.
To book a boat, I can guide you through. You'll want to check availability and any requirements for the booking. Need help with anything else related to Harmony?
Sure. What does the community offer? What can I expect if I'm living there as a resident?
Harmony offers beautiful recreational facilities, community appearance services, street lighting, and infrastructure administration. Anything specific you'd like to know more about?
You guys have a question for him at all? I need to pull an access card.
Contact the Homeowners Association at 407-847-20-80. They can help you with access card issues. They can guide you on how to
From the
get your
website. So what's going on, this is a sample bot. So all I did was I just grabbed what was on the website and I put it on there just specifically just so that we can have some type of interaction with it. So like with the access card, what it'll be able to do is like everything that goes on the access card, it'll be able to grab all of the client's information, put it on the form, because you guys have certain forms for certain things, and it will send it to the appropriate person in order for that person to go ahead and issue the card, I guess.
okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I think this, first of all, thank you for your patience and for
Yeah.
doing with us.
I've been here since 6 o'clock.
I know, man. Thank you. I like the idea, but I think we have some more homework that we need to do on our end to make sure everything's okay. Legal's happy, and that we also have a good understanding of what information we want to convey, and for reporting maintenance issues. It sounds like the capability is there. Are there any other businesses besides Wave Hotel that have that are using this?
Well, right now, from my end, Wave Hotel will be like the only big figure that I could point out to you. But if you call around, you're gonna find a lot of your government offices are already using it. Banks are using it. Yeah, it's like everywhere. Everybody and their mother's gonna have it in 6 months from now.
All right. Thank you very much. Do we have any other specific
I'm
questions?
just wondering, so in consideration of this, are we just accepting the fact that we'll be absorbing this cost? Are we asking the management? Okay.
Yeah, we're not making any decisions to do this or any of the other two proposals we've had to consider. We have, I say, 3 very different approaches that we have.
And it's at all possible that I could get an email from one of yous so that I can send you the bot via email so that you can interact with it because of the bounce back from the speaker.
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah, I
and I have it on speaker. That's the
Right.
reason why it's
Oh,
behaving like that.
understandable. If you're in contact with Raul, he can, he has all of our emails. I'm interested. I think we're looking for ideas, so, and we'll hash out the whole who pays for it and all that, and that's our job for everything, so.
All righty.
Thank you so much again
No,
for.
thank you so much
Do you have any other questions?
for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, does it make sense? Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a good evening.
Dan, do you think that it makes sense to keep exploring options without the 4 or 5 of us with Joe really being in agreement of, are we taking this on? Are we gonna have additional expectations of the management? Are we applying the pressure? Are we exploring other options? What are your thoughts on that?
Can I touch on that really quick?
Well,
So
let's-
in general, just as me brainstorming, in general, if Infomarkets as a business was to offer a CDD, an option for CRM, the CDD would not, would assume, I'm sorry, would assume the cost only because this is a service that we're offering. So it,
But that's the point that I'm making,
Sure.
is that it should be part of your services.
right, it should be built into the contract. However, because of the fact that we don't offer one or have one in place currently, that would be, I guess, in addition to either renegotiating the contract or adding this, amending the contract as this an additive for the use of CDD business.
And well, honestly, part of it is, the CDD is, 20-something years old, and 20 years ago, none of that made sense. Field services was, one or two people. So yeah, I think it's a reasonable conversation to be having.
And again, I'm just stressing it because it seems like in 2025, this is industry standard. So it sort of feels like we're not in 2020. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So, we definitely, that's our job to make sure we're holding all of our,
Each
rental
other, and
services
yeah,
to
I
account.
agree.
So, yep. I put the agenda away. I'm wishing all right. We have the consent agenda that is, and she left it 2 hours ago probably, but that was a resident question that, didn't see what happened, but I move to, approve the consent agenda. I don't know if anyone has been able to give feedback on that.
Other than
Sorry,
the
just to
name
clarify,
spelled wrong.
the whole.
The
consent
entire consent agenda was my motion. In your second?
Yes, second.
Yes. So to discuss it now that we have a motion and second on the table, you had a question about the? Okay, yeah, I know. Okay, well, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
I'm
Aye.
trying to move some-
Aye. All right, motion carries unanimously. Supervisor requests. Anything hasn't been covered?
Have to follow up. Last month, a resident asked if we could draft a letter to the owner of Cat Lake. And I know you said you were going to the council, see what we can do about that. Do we have an update on that? Just because you emailed me.
So I spoke to Michael. We haven't moved on that yet. So we're working on it. I can't draft it because it would have to be a legal letter from Michael or from his office. I'm waiting for him to let me know how we go about that. But I did follow up.
Do we have a turnaround time? Just because it's been a month and we just want to know, can we write a letter?
I can ask him. I'm pretty sure he's available tomorrow. I can get a conference with him and then find out where we're going with that. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, any other? Yeah, the microphone.
Because he sit right next to me, and that's all right. Was the sheriff gonna come talk? Anytime, did you hear back from any of them?
No, so they didn't have an open meeting for today.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna discuss that, but we've been going through a lot of.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'm aiming for the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know they were really, really concerned. I mean, the residents were concerned last meeting, and maybe just,
Yeah, no, I submitted a form, however, for the date, they were not available.
all right.
Okay, all right.
I have one more thing. and
yes.
I'm sorry, I
No,
know we're way over here, but just in the sake of time, I don't want to wait another month. So, I'd like to revisit something that you and I have sort of, discussed, Joseph. I don't know if you said you were gonna find out. It was about looking into the CBD's current insurance policy and what it would entail and what the cost would be to add an additionally insured party. I think I kind of talked to you about that, right? About potentially adding the HOA as an added entity. You say you were gonna find out the legalities if that even possible. Just because I think that for me, it's a core value to sort of try to get these different boards harmony on the same page. I think it would be beneficial to our residents. So did you get any information on that?
So I spoke to Michael briefly about this. And he said he was gonna look into it for me. I just don't have any context for it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we make sure to have those answers for those two things next month? Because I don't want to wait another month to hear if we can write the letter or, add our additional insured party.
All right. Busy night. Got a lot done, I think. We have our homework. We have a lot to stew on, so I'll move to adjourn. Oh, I heard Lucas first, he's closest, so that'll be the record. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Sorry we went so long. We had a lot to discuss.
We're
and
adjourned at
thank you
9:22.
for- Yes. Thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
so much. Have a great night.
Thank you for hanging in there with us.